Who's ready for some Queen of Thorns? Queen of Thorns Day, that's right. The many plots and plans and trickerations of Lady Olenna Tyrell. That sweet old lady, she couldn't possibly have killed a 13-year-old child at their medieval wedding. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. And she may have done some other things too. So we're going to get into all that. The incredible character known as Queen of Thorns, Lady Olenna Tyrell, played by Diana Rigg on the TV show, of course. And a character that stands alone in the Reach. She's kind of in charge. She's a very interesting commentary on the sort of power that women can wield in Westeros. Joining me today to talk about it, I'm pressing the wrong buttons. It's Miki and Sean. Welcome back, Miki, to the program.
Hello. Hello, hello.
It is wonderful to have you back. And this is a great topic to rip into. We did, I don't know if you watched, Miki, but we did a ruler alignment chart, an alignment chart for all the Westerosi leaders. And when Olenna came up, the chat basically just went crazy. And we were like, oh, we've never done an Olenna stream. So here we are. And Sean from Here with 1,000 Voices is also joining us. So, hey.
Hello, hello. Very excited, very excited. This is one of the characters that was written fantastically and somehow acted even better.
There's a few that really, that hit all the marks. Yeah. So this was a terrific one for sure. Just a great archetypal character, not to get straight into the archetype stuff, but like she is the epitome of a sharp grandmother, you know, somebody you don't talk back to. You better take your hat off when you sit down at the dinner table because she's from the 50s. That's how she rolls. So that's kind of what we're talking about today. We'll do a little bit of the mythical symbolism, but not much. It will mostly be pretty much character goodness with Olenna. And just real quick, Sean, your YouTube channel is Here with 1,000 Voices. Miki, where are you rolling these days?
Nowhere. I have an Instagram. You're welcome to follow. I don't post, but maybe I will soon.
There you go. What's your Insta handle?
It's possibly Palpatine.
Cool. I'm getting just a tiny bit
no description.
I was hearing a little bit of glitchiness on your audio that, of course, I wasn't hearing in the 10 minutes that we hung out before the stream, of course.
Okay. Are you still hearing it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little laggy. There's some laggy. I think it's a lag as opposed to an audio issue.
Okay. You guys start. I will be fidgeting in the background.
Perfect. Sounds good.
We need like a Gen Z tech person to just fix all of our stuff. And we'll be so impressed. It'll be like, you know, that one uncle or grandpa who's super excited that you know how to, you know, do a PDF.
I always think of the olds, the truly old folks. I joke about being old. I'm middle-aged, I guess. But Sean, when I struggle with technology, I do think about the old people. I'm like, how are the grandmothers and great-grandmothers and grandfathers, like, how are they dealing with these apps and subscriptions and passwords and double two-factor authentications? We're texting you a password to a phone you don't own anymore. Sorry, I may have gotten locked out of a YouTube account recently. I've had some issues with Google. In any case, help me, Sean. I'm spiraling already.
No. That's, you know what it is? It's they get taken advantage of a lot. It's the senior abuse comes digitally now.
Yeah, you don't even need to sell people on a scam, you know, a prince from Abu Dhabi who wants to leave you a fortune or whatever. You don't even need that. You're just like, yeah. Anyway, you're like, just tell people that they need to reset their password and they give you everything. Mm-hmm. So here's Miki. Let's see if we got.
Okay, is this any better?
I think so.
So much better.
Yeah.
Okay. I was not going to use the right descriptor for that. We're just going all natural with this MacBook audio and camera.
The audio is good. Everything is good. Yeah. For a second there, your face was twice as big as ours, but now it's kind of.
Well, it's like, or I don't want to explain all of mythical astronomy to you, but sometimes these heavenly bodies come closer and further away, David. It's very
I see.
complicated.
So the moon and the sun aren't actually the same size, even though they look the same size, is what you're saying.
They're not?
No, 'cause my head is actually twice as big as either of y'all's heads. I have a giant head, and my childhood best friend nicknamed me "He who blocks out the sun" while sitting behind me in a car one time. In any case, eclipses. I've been eclipsing for a long time. So let's get into it here. We'll start with the facts and figures. At a glance, Olenna Redwine, she was born in 228. So she is actually 72 at the Purple Wedding when she kills a 13-year-old child who basically deserved it, but was a child. So that's the mystery of Joffrey that we all have to, live with. But we'll get into that. So she herself is small. She's child size. She pretends to be near deaf, walks with a cane. Seems kind of like Pycelle. Her and Pycelle have the same routine going on. Oh, I'm very old.
Yeah, but I have energy for hookers.
And I will cut a bitch, so. She's got the two guards left and right, whose names are Eric and Arik. They're 7 feet tall, just to make her look shorter. It's kind of ridiculous. It is what it is. Was betrothed to Daeron Targaryen in her youth, wasn't she, Sean? And this is Egg's fourth son. So basically, her and Daeron are wrapped up with Egg's kids. And you want to explain that to everyone?
Yeah, well, and how do we say it during the Dance of the Dragon? You may not like fish, but if it's served, and you eat what's on your plate.
I don't eat fish, so I wouldn't know. But go ahead.
Daeron was most likely gay. So that marriage didn't happen. It didn't work out. And, she ended up stealing her sister's betrothed.
I forgot about that angle of it. So just to back up, she's betrothed to Daeron when her and Daeron are 9. And she talks about, I put an end to that. And basically Daeron broke off the betrothal at age 18. Imagine what it would have been like to be betrothed to the Queen of Thorns and she doesn't want to marry you. She had 8 years to convince him to, pursue other matters, and that happened. He was convinced of that. And so
What color wedding?
What's that?
What color wedding would that be?
It would have been one where the groom died. I don't know what color it would have been. The green wedding. He would probably.
That's all the weddings. Red, purple. Yeah.
That would have been.
They all go badly.
So then she married Luther Tyrell, and you're saying she stole Luther Tyrell from someone else?
Right. So she visited his bedchambers, and by morning time, he was convinced he wanted the other red wine girl instead of. So kind of the interesting part, Olenna's sister's name is Viola, so it's a Shakespeare reference. Viola from Twelfth Night, and. So Viola does a lot of gender bending and gender ambiguity stuff where everybody's in disguise pretending to be other people. It's a pretty lighthearted comedy. It's good. She has a twin who is a boy, and she pretends to be him too. It's very complicated, but the thesis here is that they are swapping partners, stealing partners, all sorts of, musical chairs of love goes on. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what's happening here, except that it's a little bit more pointed and it sucks a little bit more for Viola Redwine.
So where was I must have totally missed this in the prep. Where's this that Olenna confesses to this? We should have put this in the plots.
So she said something about, there isn't a ton of detail, but she said that basically after she broke off the thing with Daeron, she knew her sister was going to be marrying Luther Tyrell, and she decided, nope, I want that. And so she, went and got that.
Yeah, I should have added that to the plots. It was just a fact.
I put a little bit of it in.
You did?
Yeah. Kind of So it's kind of in the archetype area, just because all of it is so, Viola is obviously doing a Shakespeare thing. Thor Tyrell is doing a Thor and a Tyr thing. And yeah, so and Olenna doing some Helen stuff.
Wow, there's more plots than I even realized with Olenna. So why did she do that? She just decided that Luther was the husband she wanted, and
well, he's going to be the High Lord of the Reach. It's a pretty desirable position. I wouldn't imagine she was going to get a better offer after her, failed betrothal to Daron.
I mean, they were reaching high already, going after a Targaryen, so I don't think she wanted to go much lower.
Wow, that's this lens. Okay, so now I would just want to go right into the first plot from here. Miki, you introduced the idea here, another one that I had never heard of, that perhaps she actually murdered her husband, Luther Tyrell. So summarize their relationship as what we know about it, and then explain to us why you think this is sus.
So, Olenna, the things that she says about her husband are few, not that great, and she kind of dealt with him. I think he was, or it says right there, not unskilled in the bedchamber, but an oaf. I think he was more like, we're going to get married. This is pretty good. I don't need you. Thus, I think, and so does Tywin, think that she killed Luther. It just so happened that he was out all alone. Who does that sound like? Out hunting, out hawking, didn't know where the cliff was.
So the comparison is Robert here, yeah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just like Robert. Cersei had something to do with Robert, and Olenna had something to do with her husband. If
right, it's a hunting accident.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Who is it that says George the woods are an abattoir of the gods or something?
George has a lot to say about Dick Cheney. But yeah, it's also fun because we talked about, like Robert has a lot of Thor in him with his big hammer fighting in a body of water against like a dragon snake person. And Thor Tyrell there's obviously some of that going on.
Sean, it's a little early, both you guys, a little early to cook this hard, but there it is. It's right there. It's the comparison is right there, the hunting accident. So think about this, all right? We always think about these ambitious lords like Peter Baelish, who, he marries Lysa just long enough to try to get her claim and then kills her. He would have let her live for longer, a couple of years, ideally to solidify the claim, but he was forced to act because she was going nuts and trying to kill Sansa, right? But we need to consider the possibility that women do this too. That she may have married Luther Tyrell, had a couple kids with him, secured her place politically and the inheritance of her children to the arbor, and then when she was done with him, he had a hunting accident. I'm not saying that happened. I'm just saying it's worth considering. Miki's saying that happened.
Yes, this is...
I think so. I'm not going to sit and rub all her choices in her face, but she did steal him from her sister. Who's to say she didn't kill him? Who's to say she won't keep killing men? It's a slippery slope.
It is. Once you kill the first, it's a lot easier after that. And
exactly.
Now, this interesting, the metaphor of, she talks about riding a horse. She introduces this story, and we're going to read this chapter, but she talks about Luther Tyrell riding off the cliff, and then she compares it to Mace, essentially trying to ride the Baratheon horse, trying to ride Renly, if you will, to Marjorie's queenship. And so basically she's comparing the oafishness and the foolishness of Luthor and Mace in this situation. So it's kind of like, we know she rides for the family, but when she sees somebody being foolish, at a certain point, does she decide to just let them ride off the cliff and be like, well, one less idiot that we have to plan around now.
Well, and
I think
if
so.
you remember, oh sorry, yeah, she was making fun of Loras too. It's like Loras is very good at knocking people off horses with sticks. This does not make him wise. And that's just another Tyrell who was, you talk about Mace riding Renly. Loras was riding Renly too.
Yeah, that I was going to leave that as subtext.
No.
Okay. I'm spelling it out. But this now, okay, but just to jump ahead now to a future plot, we have talked about the idea that she may let Mace take the fall for the purple wedding. And this was an idea that you introduced, Miki and Sean. We all talked about it yesterday. Okay, so the first question is, how is the purple wedding going to come to light, do you think? To where somebody needs to take the fall for it, and the heat is on the Tyrells. Because right now, the heat is not on the Tyrells.
Yes. So right now, word is on the street that it was Tyrion who killed Tywin, and then Joffrey. I think there's just a lot of rumors going around King's Landing with what's happened with Joffrey. But I think the populace thinks it was also Tyrion. Sorry, I have a lot of stuff going on. It's one wire, and I can't keep it under control. However,
it's a live wire.
It is. It's one live wire. So I think we're in this storm of Cersei's going to be alone in King's Landing, right? Her people are leaving. They're getting killed off. They're not there. Jaime's not there. Uncle Kevin's gone. The only person in her corner is Qyburn, if you really want to call her. I guess they're besties. I'm there for her. So I think she is going to feel the need to lash out, because other than going through this whole thing with Tyrion and Tywin, I don't think she's gotten it out of her system. And I think she knows, or she suspects, and we can talk about it in a minute or so, that Olenna has something to do with it because of the ancient gold coin found in the jail where Tyrion was upon the escape. So I think she has it in her mind that it's all connected, and that Olenna has something to do with it, or at least the Tyrells have something to do with Joffrey's death. And so I think it's Cersei. She needs to do something. She has to, react.
So what Cersei needs is for Qyburn or someone to dig up some bit of information that puts some credibility to that she can mess with. And the other thing I was thinking of, what if this could be a thing that doesn't come around until Faegon comes to town and the Tyrells are dealing with them. But yeah, I was just looking, because I do think the idea that Mace could take the fall is there, but I'm just wondering, how do the Tyrells get in a situation where they have to sacrifice Mace?
I think if a stronger accusation comes out against Olenna's just gonna kind of let it is not gonna go protect Mace. I mean, one, she's physically not there, and I don't know how much she can control Mace's actions. I'm assuming he is a liability to her, because Mace will do whatever you tell him to do, but without Olenna being there to kind of guide him, who's to say what he's going to agree to or what he's not going to agree to while he's on the small council? And so I think if it comes to the point where she's like, I can't control this man, there's strong accusations against the Tyrells, let's just do with him what you will, Cersei, because I think Olenna knows that she is going to lash out. It's a cooker pot situation.
Yeah, Mace does tend to overextend himself. That's kind of the key. Like, he definitely has that riding off the cliff while he's looking at something else energy. So we'll see if he leaves himself vulnerable to Cersei, because Cersei is getting pretty desperate. There's no doubt. And I do think some sort of Sept of Baelor thing is coming in the books. It might not be until Faegon is attacking, but at some point Cersei's going to blow some shit up, because she's kind of just like, F it. And desperate, but we'll see. They're just, the Mad King parallels are just, they're plentiful.
Yeah, Cersei's, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I was going to say she's on the hunt for blood. She couldn't get Tyrion, so I think she'll get the next best thing, a Tyrell.
So
yeah, Mace might do something different that leaves himself vulnerable. Like, he really does overextend himself. Go ahead, Sean.
So I'm going to play some devil's advocate here. For one, I think that these things coming out tend to happen in order to resolve plot lines. So one thing that I see is, in order for Tyrion to come back to Westeros, he has to somewhat be cleared. And the only way that that happens in advance of him coming is if Sansa learns from Peter Baelish that it was Peter and, which if she were paying attention, she would already know. But
she does know. She just has to put it together.
Right. So Sansa being the one to kind of put that together, figure that out, and say, hey, it was Peter and it was Olenna Tyrell who did this, then that would kind of clear Tyrion's name and it would kind of implicate Olenna. But I'm not really seeing a scenario where Mace gets sacrificed. I think he gets roasted without knowing what's going on. I see him, just like Daddy, falling off the cliff that he didn't see, and I see that happening in the Sept of Baelor. He gets blown up because he had no idea what was going on. And if I can also just kind of support Olenna Tyrell, who's never done anything wrong in her entire life.
Oh, we didn't say she did anything wrong. We were just saying she might have killed a couple of oafs. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm kidding. But what I will say is that she went back to Highgarden willingly. Nobody made her go back to Highgarden. She came to King's Landing essentially to fix Mace's mess, because Mace backed a treasonous candidate, Renly. He had no real claim to the throne. He just had popularity. And so solidifying this Lannister alliance and making sure that they don't get taken advantage of in it, meaning they have somebody to kind of counter Tywin's political savvy, is really the main reason why she was there. And once it seems like things are kind of taken care of, Tywin's gone, Cersei
She really wanted to get Tommen and Marjorie wedded before she left. That was the thing she insisted on, yeah.
So now she's able to fade off into the background, go back to Highgarden, enjoy her retirement and her prunes.
The main thing is that the thing she cares most about in the world is Marjorie, because I think she believes in a kind of matriarchy. You know what I mean? Like, she's the one in charge. She's raising Marjorie to know what's up, and she keeps all her hens around her, and she's kind of schooling all of them in politics and calling all the dudes oafs and, oh, he's pretty, he knows how to knock people off the horse with a stick. You can tell who she thinks the brains of the operations are. So Marjorie, I think, is like her... Go ahead.
Well, and she has some very good quotes backing up exactly what you're saying. Stuff like, the whole realm would be better if these idiots were listening to their mothers, or if I were born a peasant woman with a wooden spoon, I might have knocked some sense into Mace, stuff like that, where it's very much, whether she means it literally or not, this kind of matriarchal idea, she is supporting it in terms of her overarching story.
Yeah, I think I was planning on that we would read this Sansa chapter early in the stream, because it kind of it's our introduction to her, and it sets the tone for so many things. We're going to end up describing so much stuff that happened in here if we don't just read it. So let's go ahead and get into this. This really does kind of embody the things that we're talking about. My only question is, who's going to do what voices? Who's going to do you have an Olenna voice, Miki, or am I Monty Pythoning, Olenna? Because I can and will do that.
Do it. We need to hear it.
Okay. So you'll do Marjorie then, or Sansa?
Sean, do you want to be Sansa?
Sean looks more like a Marjorie to me.
You know how they credit voice actors in movies as like various voices? I'll just be, whatever's left. You guys figure out what you want.
So then you do Sansa.
Okay.
You have a dog named Sansa.
That's true. I had to lock her up. She was bothering me, and I wanted to show all of you Sansa today. I really did. I was
You
going
can
to put her on
show
the
off
couch.
the dogs at any time. The audience does not complain.
I can't.
Well, if Sansa behaves.
They'll yell.
No, I've got two co-hosts that both have basically wolf-sized dogs, just giant dogs. Both you guys, like over 100 pounds, ridiculous-sized dogs. Real quick, I will tell you guys, do me the favor of watching my awesome YouTube video that I made for y'all that's coming out this week. It's one of the biggest ones that I've done in a while. I'm putting a lot of effort into it. It is called The 14 Wonders of Westeros. And it is a 39-minute tour de force of the weirdest places in Westeros, which is kind of my bag. It's the bag that I carry. I sling it over my shoulder. I've got Sothorios in there and the Kraken Stone. And so, yeah, not only is it the 14 Wonders of Westeros, it is the return of Rhaegar. You guys have been asking for Rhaegar. Rhaegar is back. He is back in full force. Reading Rhaegar. Look at that. Look at that. I got a new Rhaegar. Rhaegar got his hair done. Excuse me. He got his hair done. And that's going to be here probably Thursday morning. It could be Wednesday afternoon, but it'll probably be Thursday morning. So just watch out for that. Watch the video. Okay.
Hell yeah, Rhaegar, treat yourself.
He did. He treated himself. I'm very proud of what I have done. That's all I will say. Okay. So let's get this started. All right. Sean, pick it up with the narrator here, with Lord Mace Tyrell.
Lord Mace Tyrell and his entourage had been housed behind the royal sept, in the long, slate-roofed keep that had been called the Maiden Vault since King Baelor the Blessed had confined his sisters therein, so the sight of them might not tempt him into carnal thoughts. Outside its tall, carved doors stood two guards in gilded half-helms and green cloaks. Edged in gold satin, the golden rows of Highgarden sewn on their breasts. Both were 7-footers, wide of shoulder and narrow of waist, magnificently muscled. When Sansa got close enough to see their faces, she could not tell one from the other. They had the same strong jaws, the same deep blue eyes, the same thick red mustaches. Who are they? Oh, sorry, I saw Sir Loras. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I liked your Sansa voice. Keep it up.
That wasn't my Sansa voice. I thought that was Loras.
Use it.
Go ahead.
Who are they? She asked Sir Loras, her discomfort forgotten for a moment.
My grandmother's personal guard. Their mother named them Eric and Auric, but grandmother can't tell them apart, so she calls them Left and Right. Left and Right opened the doors, and Margaery Tyrell herself emerged and swept down the short flight of steps to greet them. Lady Sansa, she called. I'm so pleased you came. Be welcome.
Sansa knelt at the feet of her future queen. You do me a great honor, your grace.
Won't you call me Margaery? Please rise. Loras, help the Lady Sansa to her feet. Might I call you Sansa?
If it please you.
I'm botching this. I keep seeing Sir Loras. Sorry. Margaery dismissed him with a sisterly kiss and took Sansa by the hand. Come, my grandmother awaits, and she is not the most patient of ladies. Dave, you're muted.
Oh.
I was trying to tell you to keep reading narrator, but I was muted. So it's a ship of fools over here.
All right. A fire was crackling in the hearth, and sweet swelling rushes had been scattered on the floor. Around the long trestle table, a dozen women were seated. Sansa recognized only Lord Tyrell's tall, dignified wife, Lady Allery, whose long silvery braid was bound with jeweled rings.
So the Great Empire of the Dawn theory right here, just, Allery's not very old. She seems to be in her like 30s or something like that. And some people's hair does go silver early and they get all fabulously Targaryen. No, not a little silver. I mean, like, yeah, we've all got a little. I'm talking about, there are some people that have silver hair at an early age, just cool silver. But it seems like this is more likely a Great Empire of the Dawn clue. Go ahead.
This is why I don't grow my beard out. Now, let's see. Marjorie performed the other introductions. There were 3 Tyrell cousins, Mega and Alla and Eleanor, all close to Sansa's age. Buxom Lady Jonna was Lord Tyrell's sister and wed to one of the Green Apple Fossaways. Dainty, bright-eyed Lady Leonette was a Fossaway as well and wed to Sir Garland. Septa Nysterica had a homely, pock-scarred face but seemed jolly. Pale, elegant Lady Graceford was with child, and Lady Bulwer was a child, no more than 8. And Mary was what she was to call boisterous, plump Meredith Crane, but most definitely not Lady Merryweather, a sultry, black-eyed, Myrish beauty.
Is that Lady Taena Merryweather?
Yeah.
Who later becomes Cersei's best friend and...
So that's why it's kind of like, double agent stuff going on where Cersei thinks that Lady Taena is her friend spying on the Tyrells for her, but really she's almost certainly a Tyrell plant and, working for them.
Yeah. So I would just want to pause and point out the Baelor the Blessed Maiden Vault framing that's happening here. Sansa... And there's a conversation between Tyrion and Oberyn and Sansa that's happening somewhere amidst these chapters about Baelor about Baelor the Blessed. And Sansa's like, wasn't Baelor the most pure and noble and the snakes wouldn't bite him because blah, blah, blah. And Elias Sand is like, yeah, no, he got bit a whole bunch of times. And Tyrion's like, a lot of people think that addled his wits. And Oberyn and Tyrion are discussing the lives of kings and all this stuff. But everyone agrees that Baelor was an idiot and that if he had died sooner, the realm would have been better off. And Sansa's like, tut, 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 what is this? And so it's setting up this idea that like the men are the oafs and the fools. A lot of them are fools. They have power, but they are essentially like fools. And Olenna's going to talk about this in a minute. There's the Mace kind of fool. There's the Baelor the Blessed kind of fool. And behind Baelor the Blessed, locked in the Maiden Vault, are these powerful Targaryen women, one of whom is the mother of Daemon Blackfyre. So, like, yeah, it's a similar thing here. It's like, oh, yeah, the women, they're just sewing and doing women stuff in the room with each other. It's nothing to worry about. And it's like, no, that's where all the plotting is.
Yeah.
Or a lot of it.
I want to be in the room where it happens. It's something that we saw in real world politics. If there are a bunch of men in power who are morons, power abhors a vacuum. And the women who are surrounding them, if they're smart, will essentially take control. And that's what's going on with the Tyrells. They've had 2 generations straight of idiots, running the ship. So it's been Olenna running things.
Yeah, the chat knows what I'm talking about. Women's stuff, crafts, arts, music, poetry. Definitely not any pillow talk kind of stuff,
plausible deniability activities. We were just doing girl stuff.
Just riding horses and, yeah.
I'm just a girl.
Literally just a girl.
Just a girl.
Shout out Gwen Stefani. All right, so let's see here. Let's go back to the chapter. So, hey, Lady Tanya, Lady Taena, shout out. Go ahead, Sean.
Last of all, Marjorie brought her before the wizened, white-haired doll of a woman at the head of the table. I am honored to present my grandmother, the Lady Olenna, widow to the late Luther Tyrell, Lord of Highgarden, whose memory is a comfort to us all. The old woman smelled of rosewater. Why, she's just the littlest bit of a thing. There is nothing the least bit thorny about her.
Kiss me, child, Lady Olenna said, tugging at Sansa's wrist with a soft spotted hand. It is so kind of you to sup with me and my foolish flock of hens. You're muted.
And I was right on cue. Dutifully, Sansa kissed the old woman on the cheek. It is kind of you to have me, my lady.
I knew your grandfather, Lord Rickard, though not well.
He died before I was born.
I'm aware of that, child. I said that's your Tully grandfather is dying too. It's said that your Tully grandfather. Lord Hoster, surely they told you? An old man, though not so old as me. Still, night falls for all of us in the end, and too soon for some. You would know more than that. You would know that more than most, poor child. You've had your share of grief, I know. We are sorry for your losses.
Sansa glanced at Marjorie. I was saddened when I heard of Lord Renly's death, Your Grace. He was very gallant.
You are so kind to say so, answered Marjorie.
Gallant, yes, and very charming, and very clean. He knew how to dress, and he knew how to smile, and he knew how to bathe. And somehow he got the notion that this made him fit to be king. The Baratheons have always had some queer notions, to be sure. It comes from their Targaryen blood, I should think. They tried to marry me to a Targaryen once, but I soon put an end to that.
Renly was brave and gentle, grandmother. Father liked him as well, and so did Loras.
Loras is young, and very good at knocking men off horses with a stick. That does not make him wise. As to your father, would that I'd been born a peasant woman with a big wooden spoon. I might have been able to beat some sense into his fat head.
Mother, Lady Allery scolded.
Hush, Allery, don't take that tone with me, and don't call me mother. If I'd given birth to you, I'm sure I'd remember. I'm only to blame for your husband, the Lord Oaf of Highgarden.
Grandmother, mind your words, or what will Sansa think of us?
She might think we have some wits about us. One of us, at any rate. It's treason, I warned them. Robert has 2 sons, and Renly has an older brother. How can he possibly have any claim to that ugly iron chair? Tut tut, says my son. Don't you want your sweetling to be queen? You Starks were kings once, the Irons and the Lannisters as well, even the Baratheons through the female line. But the Tyrells were no more than stewards, until Aegon the Dragon came along and cooked the rightful king of the Reach on that field of fire. If truth be told, even our claim to Highgarden is a bit dodgy, just as those dreadful Florents are always whining. What does it matter, you ask? And of course it doesn't, except to oafs like my son. The thought that one day he may see his grandson with his arse on the Iron Throne makes Mace puff up like... Now, what do you call it, Marjorie? You're clever. Be a dear, and tell your old half-daft grandmother the name of that queer fish from the Summer Isles that puffs up to 10 times its own size when you poke it.
They call them puffish, grandmother.
Of course they do. Summer Islanders have no imagination. My son ought to take the puffish for a sigil, if truth be told. He could put a crown on it, the way the Baratheons do their stag. Perhaps that would make him happy. We should have stayed well out of all this bloody foolishness, if you ask me. But once the cow's been milked, there's no squirting the cream back up her udder. And now Lord Puffish put that crown on Renly's head, and now we're into the putting up to our knees, so here we are to see things through. And what do you say to that, Lady Sansa?
Muted.
Sansa's mouth opened and closed. She felt very like a puffish herself. The Tyrells can trace their descent back to the Garth Greenhand, was the best she could manage at short notice.
So can the Florents, the Roans, the Oakharts, and half the other noble houses of the south. Garth liked to plant his seed in fertile ground, they say. I shouldn't wonder that more than his hands were green.
Sansa, Lady Allery broke in, you must be very hungry. Shall we have a bite of boar together and some lemon cakes?
Lemon cakes are my favorite, Sansa admitted.
She said the thing.
So we have been told,
Declared Lady Olenna, who obviously had no intention of being hushed.
that Varys creature seem to think we should be more grateful for the information. I've never been quite so sure what the point of a eunuch is, if truth be told. It seems to me they're only men, with the useful bits cut off.
So that's what I was saying. Literally, that's what men are good for. She'd fit right in at Kaya Naya, or Bayasabad, in any case.
Allery, will you have them bring to the food, Or do you mean to starve me to death? Here, Sansa, sit next to me. I'm much less boring than these others. I hope that you're fond of fools.
Sansa smoothed down her skirts and sat. I think, fools, my lady? You mean the sort in motley?
Feathers, in this case. What do you imagine I was speaking of, my son? Or these lovely ladies? No, don't blush with your hair. It makes you look like a pomegranate. All men are fools, if truth be told, but the ones at Motley are more amusing than the ones with crowns. Marjorie, child, summon Butterbumps. Let us see if we can't make Lady Sansa smile. The rest of you be seated. Do I have to tell you everything? Sansa must think that my granddaughter is attended by a flock of sheep.
Butterbumps arrived before the food, dressed in a jester's suit of green and yellow feathers with a floppy coxcomb. An immense, round, fat man, as big as 3 moon boys, he came cartwheeling into the hall, vaulted onto the table, and laid a gigantic egg right in front of Sansa. "Break it, my lady," he commanded. When she did, a dozen yellow chicks escaped and began running in all directions. "Catch them!" Butterbumps exclaimed. Little Lady Bulwer snagged one and handed it to him, whereby he tilted back his head, popped it into his huge rubbery mouth, and seemed to swallow it whole. When he belched, tiny yellow feathers flew out his nose. Lady Bulwer began to wail in distress, but her tears turned into a sudden squeal of delight when the chick came squirting out of the sleeve of her gown and ran down her arm. As the servants brought out a broth of leeks and mushrooms, Butterbumps began to juggle, and Lady Olenna pushed herself forward to rest her elbows on the table.
So before we go forward, Sean, would you like to break down the mythical astronomy of Butterbumps and the chickens here? Identify the players and tell everybody what's happening.
So first off, if we're talking about him as 3 moon boys, we're talking about 3 lunar figures, or 3 in this case 3 moon meteors. Really, is what's going on. So he's doing moon meteor stuff, which should not be surprising at this point. A little yellow chick is going to be either some kind of star. If it's bigger, it's going to be the sun. But the fact that it's purposefully juxtaposed against a bigger moon figure, you're going to look like a morning star figure, like the son of the sun figure. So it's solar figure, but it is it's essentially smaller. So like the sun writ small, morning star, even star. So what we see is it gets eaten, going into his mouth. That's like dying, going into the cave of night.
You skipped the egg.
Okay, well, we'll get back to the egg. That's important too. But
sorry, go ahead.
The thing coming out of her sleeve, where it originated, it's showing that it's a cycle. She hands it to him, and then it comes back out of her hand. So we're seeing the cycle of the morning star, even star, rising again after falling. And that makes sense with the egg, because one of the foremost morning star figures that we see in the series, just through real world parallels, is Mithras. And Mithras is born from stone, born from an egg. And so Mithras stoneborn, hatching here and then doing morning star, even star cycle stuff, while there's moon meteor things going on at the same time. It all makes a lot of sense.
So the way that I looked at this was I believe that excuse me, Brace Garth. I believe that what we have here is what's his name? Butterbumps is essentially, he's either the sun laying a moon egg, or he is a double of the egg that he lays. One or the other. The important thing is the egg, and he has Sansa break it open. So now we're reminded of Dany at the alchemical wedding. She's the one who cracks open the eggs. She does it in the fire of the sun. So that's why I think Butterbumps, the big yellow guy, and he's got the coxcomb, which gives you that sort of male, not sort of, it gives you the male sexual symbol. It's floppy because everything here is, floppy fish, impotent men, oafish men, not unskilled, but it's not really
What's the point of a eunuch?
Right. So we've got that theme going here of these men that are losing their potency, or their potency is kind of a sham or something like that. Robert, his kids weren't even his. We were just talking about Robert and all that. Baylor the Blessed, no children. Okay. So he's got this moon egg. Now it is Sansa instead of Daenerys who is hatching the egg. And instead of 3 dragons, we get 12 chicks. So this is basically last hero math. And that makes sense because your Night's Watch are kind of like moon meteor symbols. They're fiery, they're black, they're using fiery black weapons, etc., etc. So we've got the egg hatching, we've got these 12 meteor symbols, and then, as you point out, Lady Bulwer, who is a child, she is a child from a house with a horned god symbol, who is descendant of Garth the Green, so very child of the forest, and the chick comes squirming out of her arm. So what's going on there? You're talking about the cycles repeating.
Yes, there's also a Nissa aspect of it, because you'll notice she lets out it's kind of like a wail of agony and then squeal of delight. So it's agony and ecstasy.
And it's running down her arm. It almost sounds like blood.
Well, and coming out of her sleeve is, it's going to be referring to the female anatomy. So like when we're looking at that, it's kind of like how, Tolkien and George R.R. Martin both use the word cleft to mean, right.
It's a child appropriate for the symbolism, because we want to separate the plot where the person is a child and the symbolism where it's a child of the forest, Nissa figure. So it's a very tame metaphor. That kind of makes sense. But also, it's a chick.
And the Mithras thing, we were talking about Mithras Stoneborn being born from an egg to do Morning Star stuff and do this cycle. Every time we see like a serious Mithras figure, we see a bull getting sacrificed. So when we see Jon getting born, we see the old bull, the white bull, Gerald Hightower, he dies at the Tower of Joy. We have Blackjack Bulwer dying at the time when we smuggle Monster out of
Good point. The bull is always the rebirth symbolism. So it's almost like Lady Bulwer is becoming like the surrogate mother of this chick, isn't it, Miki?
Muted.
Wrong mouse. Yes.
Anything else? Anything? Do we have? What am I trying to say? Is there what's the point? Like, what's the point here? So it's like Sansa is hatching the egg. Well, yeah, it compares to Dany, doesn't it? Because Dany hatches the eggs, but then she becomes the surrogate mother of the dragons.
Right. Well, and also the point is the cycle. And you brought up Dany's, what you call the alchemical wedding. She changes her symbolism in that. She starts out, when we see her in the beginning of the story up to a certain point, we see her personality change with her symbolism. She's a moon maiden, a very classic moon maiden to begin with. But after the alchemical wedding, she becomes the mother of dragons. She becomes this fiery, still sometimes a moon figure, but a fiery moon as opposed to like a typical icy moon figure. Mm-hmm. And what we have here is we have, Lady Bulwer doing the cycle here, but we also have, Marjorie, and we have Lady Olenna. So Lady Olenna is the crone aspect of the cycle. Marjorie is, all of this is a lead up to Marjorie marrying Joffrey. So they're going to be exemplifying the father and the mother. And then we have, we do it as the warrior and the maiden in A Song of Ice and Fire, but the original archetype is the youth. So of course, Lady Bulwer is super young.
Yeah, right. I see what you're saying. So all the archetypes are basically present here as we run through this cyclical birth of the dragon chicks and rebirth of the dragon chicks. And it's I guess what I'm trying to bring out is that the motherhood aspect is the thing that's being emphasized in this version of the events.
Yes. She does the widow's wail, we call it, right? The widow's wail. So when a mother's child is killed or whatever. In a number of other scenarios, you see the widow's wail. Sometimes you see the widow's wail as, the cry of agony before the cry of ecstasy. Whatever the case is, it's part of how George has exemplified the very real and normal cycle of aging.
Yep. Cool. Well, I guess we can move on then. Sorry, my brain's spinning on a couple different things here, and it's just sort of locking up. Apologies.
It's okay. Same. I haven't streamed in a long time, so I'm a little rusty today.
It takes a lot of RAM to run that Monty Python voice, and the whole time you were talking about all these oafs who are running things poorly, and I'm just thinking, yeah, it's treason, love, because we're an autonomous collective of blah blah blah, and that's our system of government.
Well, and it's also interesting. So Sansa here is being mothered collectively. I mean, Olenna's kind of mothering everyone. And you could even see, like, Alarie calls her mother. She's like, don't call me that. It's like, that is who you are, the mother here. You are, like, the mother. Olenna also has a lot of parallels to Lady Stoneheart, who is Sansa's actual mother. As far as the crone figure with a lot of Child of the Forest and Weirwood associations, Stoneheart has the Weirwood Cave to give those Weirwood associations, as well as the red eyes, the carved face of the Weirwood. Olenna doesn't have that grisly symbolism, but she's a child who is very old, just like the Children of the Forest. And she's from the Reach, where everyone descends from Garth, etc. So different ways of getting at a similar archetype, but it's like this Weirwood crone goddess figure. And it's both Sansa and Stoneheart. I just thought that was interesting.
And she has some very interesting parallels with Catelyn. For one, she kind of Catelyn was originally supposed to marry Brandon Stark, and she ended up marrying Ned. So we have Lady Olenna, who's originally supposed to marry Daeron Targaryen, and she married Luther. We also have, Bran is probably going to be the king at the end of this story. He's going to be a crippled king on an oak throne, blah, 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 which we already saw. He was on the oak high seat at the Harvest Festival.
Yeah.
Right. Harvest Feast, not festival.
Oh, it's a festival. It was festive.
Right. Well, and we have Lady Olenna, who has a grandson, Willas, who is crippled. He is the heir to Highgarden, and he'll be sitting on an oaken seat ruling Highgarden as well. So it's a very similar idea.
Yeah, and Sansa was supposed to marry Willas and then didn't. And so that would have been a parallel to Bran. And it's cooler to marry someone that parallels your brother than marrying your brother, obviously. But yeah, the parallel is there.
Bad news about Tyrion, too. He's about Bran's height, and he's kind of somewhat crippled in a way.
But yeah, he's got the Knight of the Mind thing going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know my son, Sansa? Lord Pufffish of Highgarden?
A great lord, Sansa answered politely.
A great oaf? His father was an oaf as well. My husband, the late Lord Luther. Oh, I loved him well enough, don't mistake me. A kind man, and not unskilled in the bedchamber. But an appalling oaf all the same. He managed to ride off a cliff whilst talking. They say he was looking up at the sky and paying no mind where his horse was taking him. And now my oaf's son is doing the same, only he's riding a lion instead of a palfrey. It's easier to mount a lion, and not so easy to get off, I warned him, but he only chuckles. Should you ever have a son, Sansa, beat him frequently so he learns to mind you. I had only the one boy, and I hardly beat him at all, so now he pays me no more heed. He pays more heed to Butterbumps than he does to me. A lion is not a lapcat, I told him, and he gives me a tut-tut, mother. There is entirely too much tut-tutting in this realm, if you ask me. All these kings would do a deal better. They would put down their swords, listen to their mothers.
Sansa realized that her mouth was open again. She filled it with a spoon of broth while Lady Alarie and the other women were giggling at the spectacle of Butterbumps bouncing oranges off his head, his elbows, and his ample rump.
So this is an interesting, I just want to point out the writing technique thing here. If you're writing a character who is kind of ignorant and childlike and naive, it's hard to just Like, how do you say that? Sansa realized that her mouth was open again. This has been a running thing through it's like, oh, Sansa's mouth is gaping. Like, Sansa felt like one of the puff fishes. Just like shocked mouth. Oh, so like, that's all. I thought it was subtle how George is communicating to us that Sansa is just totally in over her head. She's like, what is going on?
It's also really good for your kind of werewood stigmata archetype. So we have the scream of agony and ecstasy, but in the werewood stigmata, it gets silenced. Like you have the choking of the neck. Like you see these people, they get hung or they're choking on blood or whatever the case is. They all get silenced during what was supposed to be a scream. So her, having her mouth agape and not making any sound is kind of like, what's the painting? Scream?
You're right. Yeah, the silence. Yeah, the painting. Exactly. That's the weirwood. I never thought about the painting, the scream. I've said silent scream 100 times for weirwoods. I never thought of that.
Nice starry night above it too.
Totally.
It's on a bridge.
Right. George was just walking through an art gallery and thinking about Thundar and Lord of the Rings, and it all just came together. Then he wandered into the medieval history and did a bunch of War of the Roses stuff. He was on mushrooms. It's all fluid. In any case.
Oh, sorry, real quick. I like how Luthor Tyrell is the guy who's looking straight up at the sky.
Where he's like, I want to be up there. That's where I belong.
I want to be where the... Yeah.
I also want to give a shout out to Butterbumps. He's actually mad skilled here. Okay. Not only was that cool that he laid an egg, he's a magician, full on sleight of hand magic tricks. He's huge and he's still doing like cartwheels. He's bouncing oranges and stuff off his body parts and juggling. Like, this guy is freaking skilled.
Yeah. It reminds me of my dad and my uncle were super into boxing and they would make me watch. And there was this professional boxer named Butterballs, and he was hugely fat. And it was defying logic that this guy could get in the ring and actually like look good. And he was really good for a few years, apparently. But
wasn't his name Butterball singular?
Butterbean, sorry.
Butterbean, that's it.
Butterball's a turkey.
I totally remember Butterbean. Like, no, not totally. Sorry. Vaguely remember Butterbean.
You know what I remember him from better? I remember he was on Jackass and he just beat the hell out of Johnny Knoxville or somebody.
That was probably
it's
deserving.
in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, the chat knows what you're talking about. That's cool. I'll have to look that up afterwards.
They know better than I do.
Just want to give Butterbumps a shout out. He's got skill. He's
a triple threat.
He's probably good in bed. Like, look, the guy knows how to deliver. He's skilled. That's all I'm saying.
Not
like, floppy cockscomb. That's all an act.
That's true. There have been no complaints thus far.
He's not unskilled in any chamber, clearly. Okay, that's enough. I want you to tell me the truth about this royal boy, this Joffrey.
Sansa's fingers tightened around her spoon. The truth? I can't. Don't ask again, please. I can't.
You, yes, who would know better? The lad seems kingly enough, I'll grant you. A bit full of himself, but that would be his Lannister blood. We have heard some troubling tales, however. Is there any truth to them? Has this boy mistreated you?
Sansa glanced around nervously. Butterbumps popped a whole orange into his mouth, chewed and swallowed, slapped his cheek, and blew seeds out of his nose. The women giggled and laughed. Servants were coming and going, and the maiden vault echoed to the clatter of spoons and plates. One of the chicks hopped back onto the table and ran through Lady Graceford's broth. No one seemed to be paying them any mind, but even so, she was frightened.
I love that little detail running through the broth. There. Sean's still stuck on how the seeds are transiting through the nasal passages to get out the...
Yeah, I never got that trick down. But no, that's like a moon meteor landing in the sea. It's...
Lady Grace Ford, too. There's something about a ford there. Let's keep going, though.
River crossing.
Olenna was growing impatient with all of Sean's symbolistic digressions, and she says,
Why are you gaping at Butterbumps? I asked you a question. I expect an answer. Have the Lannisters stolen your tongue, child?
Sir Dantos had warned her to speak freely only in the Godswoods. King Joffrey, his grace is very fair and handsome, and brave as a lion.
Yes, all the Lannisters are lions, and when a Tyrell breaks wind, it smells just like a rose, the old woman snapped. But how kind is he? How clever? Has he a good heart, a gentle hand? Is he chivalrous as befits a king? Will he cherish Marjorie and treat her tenderly, protect her honor as he would his own?
He will, Sansa lied. He is very, very comely.
You said that. You know, child. Some say that you are as big a fool as Butterbumps. And I'm starting to believe them. Comely? I have taught my Marjorie what comely is worth, I hope. Somewhat less than a mummer's fought. Arryn Brightfire was comely enough, but a monster all the same. The question is, what is Joffrey? She reached to snag a passing servant. I am not fond of leeks. Take this broth away, and bring me some cheese.
The cheese will be served after the cakes, my lady.
The cheese will be served when I want it served, and I want it served now. The old woman turned back to Sansa. Are you frightened, child? No need for that. We're only women here. Tell me the truth. No harm will come to you.
My father always told the truth. Sansa spoke quietly, but even so, it was hard to get the words out.
Lord Eddard, yes. He had that reputation. But they named him traitor and took his head off even so. The old woman's eyes bore into her, sharp and bright as the points of swords.
Joffrey, Sansa said. Joffrey did that. He promised me he would be merciful and cut my father's head off. He said that was mercy, and he took me up on the walls and made me look at it. The head. He wanted me to weep, but she stopped abruptly and covered her mouth. I've said too much. Oh, gods be good. They'll know, they'll hear. Someone will tell on me.
Go on. It was Marjorie who urged, Joffrey's own queen-to-be. Sansa did not know how much she had heard.
I can't. What if she tells him? What if she tells? He'll kill me for certain then, or give me to Sir Iln. I never meant my father was a traitor. My brother as well. I have the traitor's blood. Please, don't make me say anymore.
So this is like just this scene that was really funny and interesting just turned hella trauma-fied. Like, we're seeing somebody that's been abused for a book and a half. And she's like, just like Theon, really, like Theon wants to say things that are true but can't. He's only thinking about how he's going to be tortured again. And this is what Sansa's like, oh, they're going to hear, they're going to find out. I can't say anything. Like, this is such PTSD. It's like really heavy. But George is just doing a really good job of writing it. And you see how Queen of Thorns goes from like, are you stupid? To being like, oh shit. You're like hella trauma. And then, so let's keep reading here. But yeah, it's just, calm yourself, child, the Queen of Thorns commanded.
She's terrified, grandmother. Just look at her.
Fool, give us a song. A long one, I should think. The Bear and the Maiden Fair will do nicely.
It will, the huge jester replied. It will do nicely indeed. Shall I sing it standing on my head, my lady?
Will that make it sound better?
No.
Stand on your feet, then. We wouldn't want your hat to fall off, as I recall. You never wash your hair.
As my lady commands.
Why does she know that?
She hired him.
You don't
She
got to
got
get
close
that
enough
close
to
to
know?
smell his hair to hire him. Just saying. Okay.
She's single.
She's only 72.
His bumps. His bumps. His lovely butter bumps.
Dave, you can tell by looking. I know. I'm just trying to insinuate stuff. Come on.
Very insinuated, very sinful. All right.
I mean, it'd be hilarious if she kept like some sort of stud around as a fool to just please her and then treat him like a fool the rest of the time. Would that sort of just fit her whole? I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying.
That would be her.
She thinks they're all fools anyway.
Yeah, she did say the useful bits are gone on a eunuch. We know what she's enjoys about men here.
They're showing you how not
unskilled.
unskilled he is. Sorry, Miki, go ahead.
I was going to say, she only keeps the skilled fools around. Butterbumps.
Yeah. The other ones, she lets them right off the cliff.
Hey, Butterbumps gets all the chicks.
All of them. All 12 of them.
Hey, that's true. We just saw that. I mean, the text is talking to us here, so go ahead, Sean. Pick up Butterbumps.
As my lady commands. Butterbumps bowed low, let loose of an enormous belch, then straightened, threw out his belly, and bellowed, "A bear there was, a bear, all black and brown and covered with hair."
And Sean, I expect you to keep singing while me and Miki keep the rest of this dialogue going, all right?
I don't want to wait.
Lady Olenna squirmed forward.
Even when I was a girl younger than you, it was well known that in the Red Keep, the very walls have ears. Well, they will be the better for a song, and meanwhile, we girls shall speak freely.
But, Sansa said, Varys, he knows. He always.
Sing louder!
The Queen of Thorns shouted at Butterbumps.
These old ears are almost deaf, you know. Are you whispering at me, you fat fool? I don't pay you for whispers. Sing!
The bear! Thundered Butterbumps, his great deep voice echoing off the rafters. "Oh, come," they said, "oh, come to the fair, said he, but I'm a bear, all black and brown and covered with hair."
Imagine the guardsmen standing outside the hall, and they're just like, the f is going on in there? They are having some kind of high garden party. I don't know.
Yeah, there are just 2 7-footers standing outside the edge of the camp and just pay me well enough.
Yeah, they don't ask questions left and right. Oh, the wrinkled old lady smiled.
At Highgarden, we have many spiders amongst the flowers. So long as they keep to themselves, we let them spin their little webs. But if they get underfoot, we step on them.
She patted Sansa on the back of the hand.
Now, child, the truth. What sort of man is this Joffrey, who calls himself Baratheon, but looks so very Lannister?
And down the road from here to there, 3 boys, a goat, and a dancing bear.
Sansa felt as though her heart had lodged in her throat. The Queen of Thorns was so close she could smell the old woman's sour breath. Her gaunt, thin fingers were pinching her wrist. To her other side, Marjorie was listening as well. A shiver went through her. "A monster," she whispered, so tremulously she could scarcely hear her own voice. "Joffrey is a monster. He lied about the butcher's boy and made father kill my wolf. When I displease him, he has the King's Guard beat me. He's evil and cruel, my lady, it's so, and the queen as well."
Lady Olenna Tyrell and her granddaughter exchanged a look.
"Ah,"
said the old woman.
"that's a pity."
"Oh, gods," thought Sansa, horrified. "If Marjorie won't marry him, Joff will know that I'm to blame. Please," she blurted, "don't stop the wedding."
"Have no fear. Lord Puffish is determined that Marjorie shall be queen, and the word of Tyrell is worth more than all the gold in Casterly Rock. At least it was in my day. Even so, we thank you for the truth, child."
Danced and spun all the way to the fair, the fair. Butterbumps hopped and roared and stamped his feet.
Sansa,
would you like to visit Highgarden? When Marjorie Tyrell smiled, she looked very like her brother Loras. "All the autumn flowers are in bloom just now, and there are groves and fountains, shady courtyards, marble colonnades. My lord father always keeps singers at court, sweeter ones than butters here, and pipers, and fiddlers, and harpers as well. We have the best horses, and pleasure boats to sail along the Manda. Do you hawk, Sansa?" Muted.
"A little," she admitted.
"Oh, sweet she was, and pure and fair, the maid with honey in her hair." You will love Highgarden as I do. I know it. Marjorie brushed back a loose strand of Sansa's hair. Once you see it, you'll never want to leave. And perhaps you won't have to. Her hair, the maid with honey in her hair.
Shush, child. Sansa hasn't even told us that she would like to come for a visit.
Muted.
I'm over here doing my best. Oh, but I would, Sansa said. Highgarden sounded like the place she had always dreamed of, like the beautiful, magical court she had once hoped to find at King's Landing.
Smelled the scent of the summer air, the bear, all black and brown and covered with hair.
But the queen, Sansa went on, she won't let me go.
She will. Without Highgarden, the Lannisters have no hope of keeping Joffrey on the throne. If my son the Lord Oath asks, she will have no choice but to grant his request.
Will he? Asked Sansa. Will he ask?
I see no need to give him a choice. Of course, he has no hint of our true purpose.
He smelled the scent on the summer air.
Sansa wrinkled her brow. Our true purpose, my lady?
He sniffed and roared and smelled it there, honey on the summer air.
To see you safely wed, child, the old woman said as Butterbumps bellowed out the old song. To my grandson.
Wed to Sir Loras? Oh, Sansa's breath caught in her throat. She remembered Sir Loras in his sparkling sapphire armor, tossing her a rose. Sir Loras in white silk, so pure, innocent, beautiful. The dimples at the corner of his mouth when he smiled, the sweetness of his laugh, the warmth of his hand. She could only imagine what it would be like to pull up his tunic and caress the smooth skin underneath, to stand on her toes and to kiss him, to run her fingers through those thick brown curls and drown in his deep brown eyes. A flush crept up to her neck.
Sansa, I've got news for you, Sansa. It's funny. The Gaydar here is obviously on 0, and
she doesn't know.
Yeah, she's led a sheltered experience in the North. There definitely are gay things happening in the North, but perhaps not in Castle Winterfell, where Ned could see. I don't know. But she has no clue. It's just really funny. Just no clue.
Well, they keep that stuff on the wall where they get prison married.
I guess maybe.
No, it's she's sweet summer child.
That's it. The chat's got it. Yeah.
Oh
man.
Already said it. I was late. All right.
Oh, his curls and his Also, George is not holding back here. With the description of Loras. I just think that's cool. George is not afraid to go there. Loras is a dreamboat. It just is. It's a fact. So,
would you like that, Sansa?
Oh, that's Marjorie. Sorry. Sean, it's you.
Oh, sorry. I actually. Oh, I'm a maid. I'm pure and fair. I'll never dance with a hairy bear. A bear. I'll never dance with a hairy bear. Would you like that, Sansa? Asked Marjorie. I've never had a sister, only brothers. Oh, please say yes. Please say that you will consent to marry my brother.
The words came tumbling out of her. Yes, I will. I would like that more than anything. To wed Sir Loras, to love him.
Loras? Don't be foolish, child. Kingsguard never wed. Didn't they teach you anything in Winterfell? We were speaking of my grandson, Willas. He is a bit old for you, to be sure, but a dear boy for all that. Not the least bit oafish. An heir to Highgarden besides.
Sansa felt dizzy. One instant her head was full of dreams of Loras, and the next they had all been snatched away. Willas? Willas? She said stupidly, courtesy is a lady's armor. You must not offend them. Be careful what you say. I do not know, Sir Willas. I have never had the pleasure. My lady, is he as great a knight as his brothers?
So let's pause here, Sean, before you sing. I want to point out something that's going on here, okay? It's easy to be critical of Sansa because what's happening here is high stakes politics. She is potentially the heir to Winterfell or the Lady of Winterfell. It's the key to possession of Winterfell. The same reason that the Lannisters marry her to Tyrion. Highgarden can see the same thing. If we can marry Sansa to Willas, we have a claim to Winterfell, which is kind of up in the air right now, up for grabs. Sansa's not thinking about any of that. That's because she's been abused by Joffrey, and she's not out of that. She is still under the Lannisters' thumb, so she is thinking about the person. First Loras and then Willas. She's just thinking about the man who's going to be in the same room with her. Is he going to beat the crap out of me, or is he a good person? Like, that's why she's not thinking about politics here. It's not just that she's 11. She's in the middle of an abuse situation. She's clearly terrified. And she's like, would you like to visit Highgarden? She's like, I would. Yes. Anywhere but here. You know what I mean? Like, so she's just like, I haven't met Willas. Can we go now? You know?
Well, it's really sad because, like, first off, like, she is that young. She does, know most of her history from songs, like thinking that Baelor the Blessed was a good king.
Right.
Stuff like that. She was 100% writing down, her name with Joffrey's last name in her Lisa Frank notebook and then doing the same thing with Loras. And so it's like a really sad mix of like what you would expect, a little bit of immaturity from a girl who is young. And, she's got these little romantic inklings and stuff, and the abuse at the same time. And one of the things that happens when you have this like deep trauma that you're still in the middle of is you stop maturing. It's hard to, grow personally. It's hard to mature when you're in fight or flight all the time. So like she is essentially looking at this, like the first thing she thinks of is like, oh my gosh, his curls, and let me touch that smooth skin beneath his tunic and all that. Those are the thoughts of an immature 12-year-old, but she's having them because she's not growing past it, which you would hope that she would, because she needs to wise up a little bit, get smarter in order to start avoiding these people and be safe. But it's hard to, because
she hasn't had any space, any separation from that environment. She's still in the middle of it. And this is like the first time you try to talk someone out of a cult environment that they don't like you're going up against their programming and their fear and their trauma. So yeah, everything is confined to literally the person that's going to be in front of her, Loras or Willas or Joffrey. So yeah, it's really intense. And it's interesting how so many different things are going on in this scene, with the different people at different ages and maturities. Marjorie in the Queen of Thorns and all these other ladies. And you mentioned a minute ago, and the chat's keen on mentioning this too. Sansa is pretty unprepared. Like, Ned was an isolationist. He ran away from King's Landing after all of the trauma that he suffered there, and just wanted to raise a family in the North peacefully. And so he didn't prepare Sansa for court. And then Robert shows up and is like, hey, let's join our houses. And all of a sudden Sansa's thrust in a situation that she's not prepared for. So Marjorie's only like 3 years older than Sansa. But you get the feeling that even Marjorie at Sansa's age would be a lot more politically savvy than Sansa is, because she's been raised by the Queen of Thorns, etc., right?
Right. Well, and yeah, it's
Mickey,
really
can I get you in on that?
Yeah, I mean, I know we had a whole story about Sansa and everything that is going on with her. But this is the first time that anyone's actually asked her. I don't know if you heard that. That was one of the pups howling. I will go get them in a minute. But this is the first time anyone has ever asked Sansa, how are you? And so she's like, it's like the intensity of the song. Like, if you look at the scene, the intensity of the song keeps getting louder, and she like is bursting. Like, this is her, like, the pivotal moment. So I think Olenna, and you mentioned this earlier, is she's kind of like, oh shit, she really is traumatized. Like, I didn't think it was that serious. And so from Olenna's point of view, I think Olenna, I don't think she underestimated Sansa and Joffrey. She just didn't know. I don't know what kind of spies, kind of information she had about Joffrey. But
it would have just been those hints that Peter Baelish dropped,
Yeah.
had his guardsman drop when he first met with her. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. So I think Olenna at this point it's almost, are you my pawn, and how am I going to move you across the board? Because if Sansa wasn't as traumatized and like really going through it, I think Olenna would just maybe treat her a little more brashly, And so I think Olenna is now, one, Sansa is, well, a young girl, a female, right? So she's not going to treat her just like a man, where she's just, But I think this is another layer of like, how is Olenna going to make her moves with Marjorie, but also, hey, this is a real human being. What's going down? Because she has her own plot for Sansa, as we know. She just wants to take her to Highgarden. But I think the stakes are so much higher now for Olenna, now that she talks to Sansa.
Yeah, there were several moments in the conversation where Olenna did seem to show genuine sympathy for her. Like right when she first saw her, she said something about, yeah, you would know that more than most. You've had your share of tragedy. And then later there's a couple more lines like that. And you can tell Marjorie's like, genuinely sympathetic, but also they're now realizing that Joffrey's a monster. So there's just like, oh, damn, look at this. Oh, this is bad, kind of thing.
They're like grieving their own situation because they're like, oh, this is a plot we got here. And they're like, oh, shit, this isn't.
We're going to have to switch horses. But they've already, seems like they're ready for that. They're like, well, we've got this Willas plan and, we've got our things. Because Marjorie chimes in about going to Highgarden almost right on cue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like that might have been, pre-planned of what would be the appropriate way to get Sansa out of court. Because they could have had any type of, they were just guessing at who Sansa was, right? So they could have walked into the situation and Sansa would have not wanted to leave, right? If they had come in and Sansa was determined to stay there, determined to be a mistress, determined to make it hell for Marjorie. But
so they're sort of trying different approaches. But Sean, I'll give this to you. But they're sort of trying different approaches with her, and then they figure out like, oh, we actually need to hold her hand and make her feel very safe if we're going to get the truth out of her. But first, they were trying like more like normal sort of politicking and stuff, and that wasn't really getting anywhere.
Well, and it's something happening on two levels, and it's just so well written because, it's kind of funny on one level where she's like, sing louder, you idiot. And that's to kind of make Sansa feel safe. Like people aren't going to overhear us because that's something she's constantly worried about. So she does feel safe enough to let some details out. She's terrified once she does it. But the thing is like one big theme that we get with Sansa all the way through her arc is that she's obsessed with the songs. Like she loves what the singers are doing. And so like, she's always thinking of these gallant knights. Like when she compliments people, oh, Renly, he's so gallant, blah, blah, blah. That when she's told like, oh, Willas, not Loras, she's like, oh, is he as great a knight as his brothers? Like that's her first reaction. She's equating all of this to a song, and they're trying to talk to her about Joffrey, who she originally was equating with all these songs. And she thinks that she's in one of these songs about knights and all these things, but they keep making it louder. She's really in the song of The Bear and the Maiden Fair, which is about like a bear hijacking a pretty woman. And, like that's what's happening. And it's terrifying. Muted.
I was just saying, there's a couple different ways you can take an angle on the Bear and the Maiden Fair, but you can certainly view the bear as a monster. And this is all written before the modern "Are we safer with the bear?" thing. Like it's kind of a funny thing that I always think of this song when I see, if you know what I'm talking about on social media. But the bear, certainly from one standpoint, the bear is a monster. We see Brienne in the bear pit. She's fighting for her life. The poor bear is stuck in the bear pit, so he's got no choice. But to a human, bear is a killing machine, as Stephen Colbert said many times. So yes, in a sense, Joffrey is the bear. Joffrey is the monster, and she's a fair maiden. She's like, no, I don't want that, you know. But you know, and the thing is, like, the Tyrells are sort of trying to steal her away too, politically, but their situation isn't, you know, monstrous. So it's kind of like the rules of the game here. I think that's what I'm trying to get down to. So Olenna Tyrell, she understands that we play by these patriarchal rules. The men are in charge, quote unquote. But we women really run things, you know, wink, wink, nod, nod. And so she's like, well, Sansa, yeah, we all do have to get married off to somebody. But, you know, I've got a pretty good choice here for you. Previously, you were engaged to a monster. How does, you know, a gentleman sound to you? And so, yeah, it's a decent offer. They have every reason to think that this may compare well. And as soon as they hear about the abuse, that's when Marjorie's like, oh yeah, this is a good plan. She wants to get out of here. She's definitely going to want to come visit us in Highgarden, you know.
Well, and look at Olenna's reaction, right? So, oh, that's a pity. She's not surprised.
Yeah. Right. This is one of two paths that they knew they were going to walk down.
Right. And they planned all of this out. Like you said, they're almost bringing these things up by cue. So Marjorie is either very competent or they mapped this out. Like there's an outline, a Google Doc that they shared before they went on stream.
Yeah.
If Queen of Thorns is plotting with anybody, it's Marjorie. And she says, of course, Mace has no idea what our true aim is. You know, he doesn't know, but Marjorie definitely does. So Sansa has just asked, is he a greatest knight as his brothers? And Butterbumps sings,
lifted her high into the air, the bear. No, he has never taken vows.
Her grandmother frowned. Tell the girl the truth. The poor lad is crippled, and that's the way of it.
He was hurt as a squire, riding in his first tourney. His horse fell and crushed his leg.
That snake of a Dornishman was to blame, that Oberyn Martell, and his maester as well.
I called for a knight, but you're a bear, all black and brown and covered in hair. Willis has a bad leg, but a good heart. He used to read to me when I was a little girl, and draw me pictures of the stars. You will love him as much as we do, Sansa. She kicked and wailed, the maid so fair, but he licked the honey from her hair, her hair. He licked the honey from her hair.
When might I meet him? Asked Sansa hesitantly.
Soon, when you come to Highgarden, after Joffrey and I are wed, my grandmother will take you.
I will.
She said, patting Sansa's hand and smiling a soft, wrinkly smile.
I will indeed.
Then she sighed and squealed and kicked the air. My bear, she sang, my bear so fair. And off they went from here to there, the bear, and the maiden fair. So this is kind of an interesting part because we get to a different part of the song. Like everybody's panicking because the bear has, grabbed up this woman and he's licking honey from her hair and, probably going to chomp. But now we get to the part where like they're happy together and it's kind of like a metaphor for you've married someone ugly and it turns out they have a good heart and actually you're fairly happy. And that pairs really well with the fact that they're talking about, in very positive terms, her marrying Willis as opposed to Joffrey.
Right, who seems like someone you wouldn't want to marry, but actually turns out to be decent. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good, and there's so many layers to this song. I've thought about making a video to break this down, to be honest. Because
got to do that for all the songs, really.
I do. Dornishman's Wife is full of good stuff.
Make a playlist video.
Yeah. See, because he lifts her into the air and then he licks the honey from her hair. So if you just sort of sketch that out on your mind, you could figure out where he's licking and which hair and what honey we're talking about. And then it becomes a different song.
Aside from, the chat was talking about cunnilingus, but it's also definitely, drinking up the fire of the sun. You drink up the gold of the sun like licking honey. It's kind of like the moon kissed the sun, drank
I
up all
meant
the
to
fire.
say that earlier. Thank you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, Butterbumps swallowing the chicks. That's drinking the fire of the sun, sort of. Yeah, and then spitting them out. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. Oh, some people have never put that together with the bear and the maiden fair. Yeah, he lifts her up and then he licks the honey. So just figure out how that works. And then she squealed and kicked her legs, and she's like, "Oh, my bear, I love you." So the chat is pointing out that we're centering the woman's pleasure, which Olenna would approve of. So, yeah, maybe there's 2 useful bits on a man, Olenna. Come on now. The bear's a freak, like Sir Humpty. Yeah, the bear's like got the Humpty rap going. I'm a freak. All right, let's keep going. So Butterbumps roared. Go ahead. I'll read it. Leapt into the air and came down on both feet with a crash that shook the wine cups on the table. The women laughed and clapped. "I thought that dreadful song would never end," said the Queen of Thorns. "But look, here comes my cheese." Oh, and that's the chapter. Okay.
So can we talk about how secure that table is, that a guy 3 times the size of Moon Boy can do like a backflip, land on it, and all it does is shake the cups?
It's a slab oak table for sure. Like the best Renaissance 14-foot
Amish made.
slab oak.
Yeah. This is not just something you bought on a whim at Wayfair. This is craftsmanship.
Yeah, it's got the metal reinforcements on the legs, but it's not for cosmetic. They're real,
Yeah, they're like Forrest Gump's braces. Those things are serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the other thing about the bear and the maiden fair is, so once you have that basic thing going on, you figure out what we're talking about. And Sean, actually, you put it eloquently. It's about a strange romance, either with a monster who, that you're not trying to be with, or somebody that looks like they're unattractive but has the heart of gold. So we see different versions of this. With Dany, her hairy bear is posing as a friend and actually is informing on her and has sexual ambitions that are inappropriate given the age difference, etc., and their power situation and everything about it, okay? And also not asking and just sort of, anyway.
He's the first half of the song.
Right. The point is, yes, that's one example of how it played out. Jorah is becoming more monstrous. He has the demon mask. He's kidnapped Tyrion. He's doing darker and darker things, etc., etc. And Dany had to expel him. But then we have this other side of it, of someone like Willas that looks like, not the epitome of a true knight, but maybe has a heart of gold. And Brienne, even, you could compare that to. She is called ugly and described in terms that don't make her sound attractive, and yet we know she has the heart of gold and is attractive to Jaime because of her strength and her valor, her integrity, and all these other qualities, where Jaime starts to see her as sexually attractive because of her character. So that's kind of the very opposite version. And of course, that's funny because Jaime is kind of the bear. He becomes beastly, unshaven, animal-like, and Brienne is a fair maiden. She's the maid of Tarth, and her story parallels Galadon and the just maid, the sword, the just maid. So literally, it's a fair maiden, wordplay there.
Brienne,
and it is the opposite. Oh, there we go. Oh, no, I like that. I was going to say it's the opposite of what happens with Joffrey and Sansa, where he's so gorgeous, he's beautiful, he's amazing, and then the uglier he is on the inside, she suddenly is like, no, you're actually nasty looking.
Yeah. And another thing that's interesting and something that George likes to play with a lot is he will take a reference to something from the outside and he will kind of blur the hero and the villain together. And he's kind of doing it with the Bear and the Maiden Fair with Brienne, where she is beautiful on the inside. She has this nickname, Brienne the Beauty, to call attention to it. and then they have her fight a bear, but really she kind of is the bear, and she's tall and very muscular and all that. So we're seeing kind of like blurring lines between that.
It's kind of his version of Beauty and the Beast, we should say. It's the same
Right.
themes, same idea, and we see that same, people have picked up on that with Jaime and Brienne. They're both the beauty and they're both the beast in different ways.
And just another apt kind of parallel for Lady Olenna, who has a lot of parallels to Catelyn, is Catelyn talking about how handsome Brandon was, and then Ned, who's solemn and plain-faced and long-faced and blah blah blah, and basically just not attractive the way she describes him. But she fell for him because he was very kind and good and all of that. And she's probably going to be, she was very happy with Ned. She may not have been as happy with Brandon, and he may not have been very, loyal to her. Just
first scene with Catelyn and Ned is talking about their passionate lovemaking, and yeah, it's right there.
The bear and the maiden fair beneath the sheets.
No, that's a great point. She was expecting Brandon and probably had started to romance that idea, and then all of a sudden you get the quiet brother. It's like, okay,
Well,
so,
and sorry, chat. Yes, Sean Bean is very good looking. He's much better looking than Book Ned, just like Peter Dinklage is much better looking than Book Tyrion.
Yeah, Robert is the sexy one. When Ned and Robert go out to the bar,
Yeah.
Ned is wingman. Robert is the one picking up all the chicks.
He's muscled like a maiden's fantasy.
Indeed.
Just the way that Sansa is describing those two giants, guarding the tent. That's the way Ned describes Robert.
Yeah, that's true, actually. So, so that was a great chapter read. That definitely got us into a lot of what makes the character tick. So let's talk about some of these plots, specifically the Purple Wedding plot. This was hatched when Peter was sent on by the Lannisters. He kind of tricked them into sending him, and he went to Bitterbridge and then Highgarden to negotiate the Joffrey Margaery wedding. But while they were doing that, Peter essentially he praised Joffrey's character publicly, so that anybody that's overhearing would hear that. But then he had his guardsmen spread the truth to the Tyrell guardsmen. And so these are the rumors that Olenna's talking about in this chapter when she's like, oh, we've heard a few things. So basically she didn't want to just trust Peter. She wanted to get a second corroboration. So she asked Sansa, and Sansa's like, yeah, he's a monster. So she's like, okay. But the seeds for the Purple Wedding have already been laid. We do not know how much of it they planned at first and how much they planned at King's Landing. But we do know that it is primarily a plot between Peter Baelish and Olenna. Okay? Basically, Peter Baelish gets the poison and he puts it in the hairnet that he has Dantos give to Sansa so that Queen of Thorns can pull it from the hairnet, put it in the drink, and poison Joffrey. So then Peter Baelish tells all this to Sansa. So we're 100%. We know that this was a plot between Olenna and Peter. We just don't know how much of it was hashed in King's Landing versus in Highgarden. But the seeds were certainly laid the first time around. And once, as Sean pointed out, once Sansa verifies the character, she's like, oh, well, that's a shame. She's kind of just like, oh, I guess it's plan B then.
Yeah, which means they had a plan B for one,
right.
So
which is Tom. So
right,
it.
and if we may, just because Olenna is so integral to this, we look at the way the plot was executed. We had a purple amethyst or black amethyst or whatever they call it, hairnet,
the strangler,
right? And you've gone into it. You've talked about just how that's, an astronomical symbol, like the weave of the stars and all that.
The hairnet. Yeah. Interesting.
Right. But, having a dark amethyst fall from her hair into this, wine of the gods, this, drink of the gods cup, this cartoonish chalice, right? With the big major houses of the realm on it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And he drinks it from this, golden godly chalice. Like, and it kills him. This is, classic grasping at the fire of the gods stuff. And the fact that he dies from it, it makes a whole lot of sense. And Olenna
can I just
being,
pause you real quick?
Yeah.
Since you point out that the chalice has all the 7 houses on it, it's kind of like he's trying to possess the world. He's drinking the blood of all the kingdoms. It's very hubristic when you sketch it out that way.
It's also very interesting because they talk about it like, oh, well, with the Starks no longer having Winterfell, the Greyjoys have it. You should replace that wolf with the squid, and like we talk about the Kraken and the squid with all their arms. It's kind of like a werewood symbol, under the sea werewood symbol, and it's for the others.
It goes along with the blood drinking and the darkening of his face and all that. Yeah, the squid shoots out the ink. So
we've reached the next stage in the cycle, essentially.
Right, and Joffrey's face specifically, it goes purple when he's strangled. So there's a lot of purple here. Sansa's got the purple serpents with venom. This is the Ghost of Highheart version of the purple wedding. She sees it in symbolic form, and so Sansa's hairnet becomes serpents like a Medusa, dripping venom, and that's the poison that poisons Joffrey. But that just tightens up the moon meteor symbolism, because now they're black amethyst crystals from Ashai that are also serpents. So they're black dragons, they're poisonous meteors. They're the things that blot out the sun. The symbolism is off the charts with Joffrey drinking from the chalice there. It's pretty great. And actually there is... Go ahead.
Ghost of Highheart looks exactly like Olenna Tyrell, except for the red eyes. Like, we're talking about somebody who is the size of a child, white hair, wizened, short. Also, they behave similarly. They have these sharp tongues. They have the confidence to just dress down these men who theoretically could, when she's talking to the, Brotherhood Without Banners, like, theoretically, these are outlaws who could just slash her down immediately. And the way she talks to them is a lot like Lady Olenna talks to all of these powerful men, constantly barbing Tyrion and all of these people.
So let's just read a quick little passage from the Purple Wedding and watch Olenna murder Joffrey, because this is the major plot where she pulls it off. So let's watch it happen here. Keep your eye on the moving cups and all that. Joffrey was snorting wine from both nostrils. Gasping, he lurched to his feet, almost knocking over his tall two-handed chalice. And this is right after the jousting dwarfs have been doing their thing, and Tyrion is feeling, humiliated. Joffrey's snorting wine. He's just having a great time. A champion! Oh, wait, what was my Joffrey voice? I had a good one.
That works. That works.
No. Hang on. It's just, I need to switch gears. I've been doing Olenna.
Yeah, I was losing it a little bit.
Yes, it was the Faegon voice. Let's see. A champion! We have a champion! The hall began to quiet when it was seen that the king was speaking. The dwarves untangled, no doubt anticipating the royal thanks. Not a true champion, though, said Joff. A true champion defeats all challengers. The king climbed up on the table. Who else will challenge our tiny champion? With a gleeful smile, he turned towards Tyrion. Uncle, you'll defend my honor of the realm, won't you? You can ride the pig. The laughter crashed over him like a wave. Tyrion Lannister did not remember rising, nor climbing on his chair, but he found himself standing on the table. The hall was a torchlit blur of leering faces. He twisted his face into the most hideous mockery of a smile the Seven Kingdoms had ever seen.
Your Grace, I'll ride the pig, but only if you ride the dog.
Joff scowled, confused. Me? I'm no dwarf. Why me?
Why, you're the only man in the hall that I'm certain of defeating.
Go ahead.
He could not have said which was sweeter, the instant of shocked silence, the gale of laughter that followed, or the look of blind rage on his nephew's face. The dwarf hopped back to the floor, well satisfied, and by the time he looked back, Sir Osmond and Sir Meryn were helping Joff climb down as well. When he noticed Cersei glaring at him, Tyrion blew her a kiss.
It was a relief when the musicians began to play. The tiny jousters led Dog and Sal from the hall. The guests returned to their trenchers of brawn, and Tyrion called for another cup of wine. But he suddenly felt Sir Garland's hand on his sleeve. "My lord, beware," the knight warned. "The king."
Tyrion turned in his seat. Joffrey was almost upon him, red-faced and staggering, wine slopping over the rim of the great golden wedding chalice he carried in both hands.
"Your Grace,"
was all he had time to say before the king upended the chalice over his head. The wine washed down over his face in a red torrent. It drenched his hair, stung his eyes, burned in his wound, ran down his cheeks and soaked the velvet of his new doublet.
"How do you like that, imp?" Joffrey mocked. "It's very pick up my pieces, dwarf. I mean, it literally..."
Yeah. Tyrion's eyes were on fire. He dabbed at his face with the back of a sleeve and tried to blink the world back into clarity.
"That was ill done, Your Grace,"
he heard Sir Garland say quietly.
"Not at all, Sir Garland."
Tyrion dare not let this grow any uglier than it was, not here with half the realm looking on.
"Not every king would think to honor a humble subject by serving him from his own royal chalice. A pity the wine spilled."
"It didn't spill," said Joffrey, too graceless to take the retreat Tyrion offered him. "And I wasn't serving you either."
Queen Marjorie appeared suddenly at Joffrey's elbow.
John.
Oh no, go for it. I've had enough.
Queen Marjorie appeared suddenly at Joffrey's elbow. "My sweet king," the Tyrell girl entreated. "Come, return to your place. There's another singer waiting."
"Alaric of Isen," said Lady Olenna Tyrell, leaning on her cane and taking no more notice of the wine-soaked dwarf than her granddaughter had done. "I do so hope he plays us the Rains of Castamere. It has been an hour. I've forgotten how it goes." I think that's my favorite Olenna line.
I like one of her lines where she's just kind of roasting Cersei, but in front of Cersei.
We'll get that one. Yeah.
She's a treasure every time she talks.
Go ahead, Miki. That's you.
"Oh, Sir Adam has a toast he wants to make as well," said Marjorie. "Your Grace, please."
"I have no wine," Joffrey declared. "How can I drink a toast if I have no wine? Uncle Imp, you can serve me. Since you won't joust, you'll be my cupbearer."
"I would be most honored."
"It's not meant to be an honor!" Joffrey screamed. "Bend down and pick up my Pick up my pieces, dwarf." That should be, we got to make a t-shirt. "Bend down and pick up my chalice." Tyrion did as he was bid, but as he reached for the handle, Joff kicked the chalice through his legs. "Pick it up! Are you as clumsy as you are ugly?" He had to crawl under the table to find the thing. "Good. Now fill it with wine." He claimed a flagon from a serving girl and filled the goblet 3/4 full. "No, on your knees, dwarf." Kneeling, Tyrion raised up the heavy cup, wondering if he was about to get a second bath. But Joffrey took the wedding chalice one-handed, drank deep, and set it on the table. "You can get up now, uncle."
His legs cramped as he tried to rise and almost spilled him again. Tyrion had to grab hold of a chair to steady himself. Sir Garland lent him a hand. Joffrey laughed, and Cersei as well. Then others. He could not see who, but he heard them.
"Your Grace,"
Lord Tywin's voice was impeccably correct.
"They are bringing in the pie. Your sword is needed."
"The pie?" Joffrey took his queen by the hand. "Come, my lady, it's the pie." The guests stood, shouting and applauding and smashing their wine cups together as the great pie made its slow way down the length of the hall, wheeled along by a half-dozen beaming cooks. 2 yards across it was, crusty and golden brown, and they could hear squeaks and thumpings coming from inside it. Okay, so let me... I thought that was it. There might be a little more we should skip through real quick.
I don't think there's anything else really with Olenna except that she says, "Help him for God's sake," or something like that.
Well, it wasn't that. I just wanted to see the actual moment that if we could find where she's slipping it into the cup here.
Oh, no, I don't think so.
But they're over there. Okay, so they're in front of the pie. Widow's Wail's not meant for slicing pies. Then he takes Sir Ilyn's sword. And Sir Ilyn, okay, yeah, a bunch of Sir Ilyn symbolism.
I
And
think
he
it's
gives
when
him...
Peter mentioned it to Sansa. I think she's like, what do you think she was doing with your hairnet, right? He mentioned that to Sansa.
Oh, where was that?
So that's way earlier. That's like as they're coming into the feast.
Oh, okay.
Right.
It's before they run into her after Oberyn and Ilaria.
You're right. It's at the beginning,
Right.
yeah. So Olenna's already got the package, if you will.
Yeah. She already did the deed.
Okay, so Tyrion is soaked with wine. And then they're messing with the pie. He gets Ilyn's sword. And they're looking at it because Sansa's wondering if it's ice, but it's not. It's a new one.
Joffrey's out here killing mockingbirds.
Mm-hmm. He breaks the pie crust. He whirls Marjorie around. They place a piece of pie in front of Tyrion. Sansa's not eating either. And Tyrion's like, you're hella pale. And because she's just terrified that all this is going to turn into violence. She knows all of this, like this joking and drinking, she knows that it could turn into brutal violence at any second.
Well, it's also very recently, like in the last day or two, she found out that the Red Wedding happened. So Robb is dead. Her mother is dead. Everybody's dead. She has no family left.
Right. That's also true. That's where she is in the Sansa horror timeline. And then Joffrey is trying to leave, or Tyrion's trying to leave, and Joffrey says, where are you going? You're my cupbearer. He was trying to change clothes. Of course, that's not okay. Serve me my wine. The king's chalice was on the table where he'd left it. So it's just been sitting there. So this is already poisoned by now, probably. Tyrion had to climb onto his chair to reach it. Joff yanked it from his hands and drank long and deep.
Yeah.
And that's when he starts to choke.
So if you're a girl at the bar, watch your drink. If you're a king at a feast, watch your drink.
Yeah, and that's when he starts choking. Yeah, and then the acting, Marjorie, he's choking. And then, Queen of Thorns, help the poor boy. Will you all stand about gaping? Help your king. And Garland shoves Tyrion aside and starts to pound Joffrey on the back. Garland is in on this too. He's been standing next to Tyrion the whole time, like sort of talking to him and coaxing him and making sure he's in the right spot. Like, they're all running a game here, aren't they?
You think so? Because
proposition.
In the show,
I mean it as a theory. Like, do you think it seems like Garland is right here?
Because one thing we see in the show, Marjorie didn't even know that her grandmother was part of the Joffrey plot.
Forget about that.
So, yeah, obviously the show is not canon. A lot of weird stuff happened. But it would make a lot of sense if, Olenna, she's like, I'm old. What's the worst that could happen to me? But we have to have plausible deniability for Marjorie. And Marjorie does get picked up by the Faith militant and questioned super seriously. So I tend to think that she's kind of blameless in all this, that she's been left plausible deniability.
It's time for a poll.
Oh, yeah.
We'll do both.
We said we were going to do several of these. We need to do a poll on Mickey's sus.
It's true, yeah.
We'll go back for those.
We'll go back for the sus.
I feel like because we were left with Olenna and Marjorie reacting to Sansa about Joffrey, and they're both kind of like, oh shit, we have to go with plan B, right? So I don't know if Olenna was like, I'll figure it out, like, don't worry, Marjorie. And then then Marjorie's kind of not in this plan. She's not aware. So that would be one way Olenna would do it.
You really
but
could
also
read
the
this
fact that Marjorie's just like, he's choking, doesn't try to do anything, doesn't lift a finger, isn't very concerned. I'm also like, maybe she did know, and she's just like,
And maybe she's just shocked. Maybe she's just like, oh my gosh, I guess you could read it either way.
Or maybe she's pleasantly surprised it's happening.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Oh,
maybe
no.
she's putting it together. She's like, oh,
Yeah.
nice one, Grandma. Oh, he's choking.
It's also one thing I want to kind of draw attention to this because we talked about like how the wail of agony and ecstasy, and then the silencing of the scream.
No. Hang on. Before you go into symbolism, there's a good point in the chat that I want to read. It's too dangerous to poison Joff's cup and not tell Marjorie. That's a good point. If Marjorie doesn't know, she might accidentally drink it.
Or boys have cooties. She wouldn't drink out of his cup anyway.
Yeah, I mean, and this is Plan B. If she's part of the plan, I mean, just saying. Also, Plan B is what Olenna is taking after Butterbumps visits.
That's pretty convincing to me. I don't know if that clinches it, but it's pretty convincing. I feel like. What do you think?
Well, I like playing devil's advocate here, but gun to my head, she might know.
I feel like she's known so
how
much
could
up
you
till
guarantee
now.
that she won't drink out of the wedding chalice?
Yeah, you have to kind of well, first you kind of have that talk with her, and it's like, she is a lady. She's very well refined. She's trained on how to behave. She's not supposed to be drinking a ton, basically only at toasts. And she keeps bringing up toasts, right? And she has to drink from her own cup during toasts. You can't both drink from the same cup during toasts. So, I mean, she would be, the perfect lady, kind of like Sansa was supposed to be, where she's not going to drink extra, right?
It only takes a little bit of the strangler,
right?
Though. So you can't risk her drinking any of this wine.
Yeah, like if Joffrey offers his cup and she doesn't know, and she politely drinks a little bit, it could be a problem.
That's true. And she does keep talking about toast, like over and over again. I don't think George would
hey, you should drink more, Joffrey.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you should drink more until I marry your brother. But yeah, just while the poll is still going, the symbolism of that real quick. We talked about the scream of agony and ecstasy and the silencing of it. We have Joffrey, with his mouth open, choking, not able to make any sound. He's trying to. And we have Olenna Tyrell, who says, are you going to just stand there with your mouths agape? Essentially, asking, is everybody else doing the same thing he is? Your mouth's open, but not making any sound. So it's the same, like, silencing of the, werewood stigmata of, it's long night stuff. But
we saw that earlier. There was a moment of silence and then the eruption of gales of laughter. Eruption and gales are both like volcanoes, and storms were happening after the silence. So yeah, there's something George is doing a lot with silence. I mean, Euron's ship is the silence. The Weirwoods make the whispering sound in the Whispering Wood or the Whispering Sound Bay at Old Town. I mean, there's a lot of that stuff.
And Olenna, when she's talking to Butterbumps, telling him to sing louder, are you whispering to me?
So, I'm sorry, say that again.
Olenna, when she's asking Butterbumps to sing louder, she says, I'm almost deaf. Are you whispering to me? Sing louder.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it was the wine, not the pie, because the strangler is a powder. It's meant to go in wine.
It dissolves.
Yeah. Let's see here. There's the other one is the post-funeral bullying of Cersei. Yeah, that's the one that we want to read that you were talking about, Sean. And this is just,
it was wonderful. It was wonderful.
This is a small scene. This is not as long as.
I love this one.
I think we read this whole Cersei chapter one time, but I don't mind dipping back into this part of the combo. It's pretty great.
The Cersei chapters are just some of the most entertaining Song of Ice and Fire chapters.
They're fantastic.
Like a fine wine that somebody is drinking too much of. Yes.
And not choking on.
Okay, Sean, my voice is hurting. Can you pick up this narrator right here and do Mace? And you want to do Cersei there? I know you love Cersei.
I do. Yeah, we'll do Cersei.
And I'll pick up any loose voices.
Then the Lord of Highgarden descended on her. Mace Tyrell was no more than 10 years older than Cersei, yet she thought of him as her father's age, not her own. He was not quite so tall as Lord Tywin had been, but elsewise he was bigger, with a thick chest and gut grown even thicker. His hair was chestnut-colored, but there were specks of white and gray in his beard. His face was often red.
Lord Tywin was a great man, an extraordinary man,
he declared ponderously after he had kissed both her cheeks.
We shall never see his like again, I fear.
You are looking at his like, fool, Cersei thought. It is his daughter standing here before you. But she needed Tyrell and the strength of Highgarden to keep Tommen on his throne, so all she said was, he will be greatly missed.
Tyrell put a hand upon her shoulder.
No man alive is fit to don Lord Tywin's armor, that is plain. Still, the realm goes on and must be ruled. If there is aught that I might do to serve in this dark hour, your grace need only ask.
If you want to be the king's hand, my lord, have the courage to say it plainly, the queen smiled. Let him read into that as much as he likes. Surely my lord is needed in the Reach?
Oh, my son Willas is an able lad,
The man replied, refusing to take her perfectly good hint.
His leg may be twisted, but he has no want of wits, and Garland will soon take Brightwater. Between them, the Reach will be in good hands, if it happens that I am needed elsewhere. The governance of the realm must come first, Lord Tywin often said, and I am pleased to bring your grace tidings in that regard. My uncle Garth has agreed to serve as master of coin, as your lord father wished. He is making his way to Old Town to take ship. His sons will accompany him. Lord Tywin mentioned something about finding places for the two of them as well, perhaps in the city watch.
The queen's smile had frozen so hard she... Give me 1 second. Let me take this puppy out.
Oh, you're muted.
Thank you. I was just saying, yeah, go ahead, because I had something I wanted to interject, but she went ahead anyway. So there you go. I was just saying, Sean, I love how even the narrator's voice communicates Cersei's headspace. Like, her sarcasm is not just in her lines. What was that? The man replied, refusing to take her perfectly good hint. Oh, we got a wolf sighting.
Yeah.
You were just accosted by a wolf. Okay.
I was. Both
Oh,
of them.
no, wolves are basically teddy bears. I had a husky too. I miss him.
So keep your eye on the screen. You might get more dog action. But the point is, yes, the Cersei's derision and contempt and sarcasm and paranoia, it's written into the voice of the narrator here. And it's not just a dialogue. So I just wanted to point that out. Like, yeah, refusing to take her perfectly good hint. Like, loving your Mace Tyrell voice. So go ahead.
I wanted him to sound like the true oaf of Highgarden that is not subtle and can't take hints.
You must have known an oaf or two in your time. So go ahead, Miki.
The queen's smile had frozen so hard she feared her teeth might crack. Garth the Gross on the small council and his two bastards in the gold cloaks. Do the Tyrells think I will just serve the realm up to them on a gilded platter? The arrogance of it took her breath away.
She doesn't even pause to consider the fact that Tywin thought this was a good idea. And I always point this out. Like, I run into Cersei defenders online sometimes, and great character, but indefensible. Like, oh, she loved her father. Bullshit, she did. She has no respect for her father. She is envious of the status that her father accumulated. That is what it is. Because you can see here, she doesn't even, like I said, give a moment's consideration to the fact that this was what Tywin was doing. She doesn't try to understand what Tywin was doing. She just trusts her own instincts, which are pure paranoia. What did she just think? The Tyrells, well, I'll just serve the realm. It's like, well, your dad was going to, it's one appointment, Cersei. Like, you got to give a little to get some. Like, you know.
Cersei will never concede.
Sorry, you were saying?
Oh, I was going to say that Cersei never wants to concede. Very rarely does she. And she does with Olenna on certain things. And Olenna will dance with Cersei. And we'll see one of their dances that happens here. I think Olenna's going to come in.
Yes.
In like a second.
Totally.
And we'll see that.
And then what were you going to say, Sean?
Oh, no, I said it. I kind of interrupted Miki, so I was...
Oh, you both just talked at the same time, from my perspective.
Yeah, I think we just did.
It was silence and then an eruption. Yeah, so 61% says that Marjorie probably knew about the plotting. I prefer the version of Marjorie that knows about it myself. But it is definitely written, like you can see it, that her and Garland are doing, you know, mummery, just like Grandma is. What are you all standing around? As if anyone can help him now. So, yeah, good stuff. Okay.
It's Mace again.
Garth has served me well as Lord Seneschal, and he served my father before me. Littlefinger had a nose for gold, I grant you, but Garth...
My lord, Cersei broke in. I fear there may have been some misunderstanding. I have asked Lord Gyle Rosby to serve as our new Master of Coin, and he has done me the honor of accepting.
Mace gaped at her.
Rosby? That coffer? But the matter was agreed, Your Grace. Garth is on his way to Old Town.
Best send a raven to Lord Hightower and ask him to make certain your uncle does not take ship. We would hate for Garth to brave an autumn sea for naught. She smiled pleasantly.
A flush crept up Tyrell's thick neck.
This, your Lord Father assured me.
He began to sputter.
So, before we enter the Queen of Thorns, this is really great. Cersei just pulled this directly out of her ass. Like, she didn't know about this, obviously. She just found out. She's like, what? I've already asked Lord Giles, and he's already said yes. Like, she just made all of that up. Like, that's wild, politicking.
And
Cersei's
now she
plan
has
B
to
is
do
like,
it.
oh, I needed to have a plan B. It was this. Like...
Oh, damn.
Shade Tree
That's a big
Surgeon. New sub, thanks for the company during the past few weeks, wrenching on motorcycles. Great stuff. Hey, thanks a lot. Very generous. Appreciate that.
Yeah, it's
Wrench
funny
the
'cause,
motorcycles. Make sure the lug nuts are tight. I hear that's important. That was me trying to connect with the motorcycle person. I'm scared. I'm accident prone and scared. So I should not be on a motorcycle. I do think they're cool though. And, I like working on stuff too. So shout out and tighten the lug nuts. All right.
All about that. Got it. But yeah, no, it's good. Like you said, it was on the fly. She's like, oh yeah, I already asked Giles Rosby and he said yes. Now she has to do it. Like,
and she picked somebody that's a pushover so that he'll go along with it too. Yeah.
Yeah, she made a huge major appointment that affects the entire realm just based on, I hate this guy.
That coffer, Giles. Oh.
Yeah.
I drive a Volkswagen Tiguan, which is basically a bigger version of a Camry. Yeah, same idea. Yeah, nice and safe. I could see everybody and all of their shady driving, I don't trust nobody, man. That's the other thing about motorcycle. Let's not get into this. Okay. Then his mother appeared and slid her arm through his own. And I got to cue up Olenna voice again.
It would seem that Lord Tywin did not share his plans with our regent. I can't imagine why. Still, there 'tis. No use hectoring her grace. She's quite right. You must right Lord Leighton before Garth boards a ship. You know the sea will sicken him and make his farting worse.
Lady Olenna gave Cersei a toothless smile.
Your council chambers will smell sweeter with Lord Giles, though I dare say that coughing would drive me to distraction. We all adore dear old Uncle Garth, but the man is flatulent, that cannot be gainsaid. I do abhor foul smells.
Her wrinkled face wrinkled up even more.
I caught a whiff of something unpleasant in the holy sept, in truth. Mayhaps you smelled it too.
No, Cersei said coldly. A scent, you say?
More like a stink.
Perhaps you missed your autumn roses. We have kept you here too long. I'm sorry about the squeaking. The sooner she'd rid the court of Lady Olenna, the better. Lord Tyrell would doubtless dispatch a goodly number of knights to see his mother safely home, and the fewer the Tyrell swords in the city, the more soundly the queen would sleep.
I do long for the fragrances of Highgarden, I confess it. But of course, I cannot leave until I have seen my sweet Marjorie wed to your precious little Tommen.
I await that day eagerly as well. Lord Tywin and I were on the point of setting a date, as it happens. Perhaps you and I might take up that discussion, Your Grace.
Soon.
Soon will serve. Now come along, Mace. Let her grace get on with her grief.
I will see you dead, old woman, Cersei promised herself as the Queen of Thorns tottered off between her towering guardsmen, a pair of 7-footers, that it amused her to call left and right. We'll see how sweet a corpse you make. The old woman was twice as clever as her lord's son. That was plain.
The sound of your dog playing with his squeak toy is filling me with joy right now, I have to say. It's a happy sound.
There you go. Now you can see her.
Get him, Sansa.
Oh, she knows. Look at her.
Hello.
She totally froze. She's like, what?
We'll just let her sit there and chill.
She is beautiful. There's no doubt. She is
Thank
a
you.
very
I birthed
beautiful
her.
dog. What'd you say, Miki?
I birthed her, so thank you.
Right out of your
You
sleeve.
are my child.
Exactly.
That's how that happens.
You are my child.
Look how
Okay.
big Mickey's sleeve is. It could fit a whole direwolf in there.
It could.
That's how that works. See, birds and the bees, wolves in the
Right there.
sleeves. This is where
This
you come to
one
learn about
specifically. This pink sleeve specifically.
the pink sleeve. Alrighty. This has been a solid stream.
Take off my coat here.
It's getting hot. It is getting warm in here. Lan had to take all his clothes off to slip in the cleft. He coated himself with butter. Shout out to Butterbumps, and he slipped on in there.
Yeah, well, and if you're wearing a coat, you're never going to fit through those cells.
No, you're not. It's plus the butter on the coat. You might as well just lose the coat and just go butter on skin, So, I don't even know what the metaphor is at this point, but yeah, I love that. I will see you dead, old woman. It's just like, yeah, let her grace get on with her grief. I will see you dead. Like, just great riposte there. Cersei's got all the darts in her mind that she doesn't spit. Love that.
Look, she's not actually going to win that 1v1 if they're just talking back and forth.
No, clearly not. It's like, the first thing Olenna dropped was like, it seems like, Tywin
Tywin didn't tell the Queen Regent his plans. I wonder why not. She's kind of like going, oh, you weren't in on the planning, were you, dumbass? Like,
I love that. She's like, you're dumb, you're not informed, and your dad smells. Sorry, he's dead. But see
and
how
your
that's
dad smells more like a stink.
Yeah.
More like a stink.
Yeah. And so this is one of those little fights or dances that Cersei and Olenna do. Is in this case, Olenna's like, the other one's howling too. Let's see. Rhea.
Oh, there we are. See, the stink is how you know Tywin is making gold.
Look, this is Rhea. That's her.
She is beautiful. Look at that face.
Oh, I introduced her. I'm sorry. Her name's Rhea. She's the loud one. I know.
Well, we're quite the panel here. You both have 2 giant dogs, and I have 2 parrots.
Yeah, my little one was 75. But yeah, I did used to have a husky. I miss her a lot. But she was... I would not have described my husky as super well behaved.
Yeah.
Sometimes
they're very sweet. They have fantastic intentions. It's the follow through.
They better walk enough too. Huskies need a lot of walking, or they will lose it.
Oh yeah.
I picture Odin incarnating and looking at the panel and being like, well, we've got some domesticated dogs and some parrots. Not exactly what I'm used to working with, but anyway.
Okay. I was going to say, but I think I was muted. Is that okay, right. Cersei and Olenna go head to head and they do these little dances. And one of them, well, Olenna always comes out on top in some way. She either gets a remark in or she gets a concession from Cersei. And one of them, I don't know if we're going to go over it, but another one is when they're negotiating Tom and Marjorie. And Olenna gets the first night and Cersei's just like, she leaves at negotiation and she's just like, I can't believe I did that. Like, I can't believe I gave her what she wanted. But it's fun. Olenna always wins around Cersei.
Well,
I love to see it.
And something that we should kind of pay attention to here is that Cersei's knee jerk to say, oh, I already asked Giles Rosby, who's like, you know, somebody on the court who's just around at that point, right? He's not in great health and he's very old and he's going to get replaced by somebody from the Tyrell camp once Cersei gets in trouble. And he's not the only one. Her kind of just not putting enough thought into these decisions keeps biting her in the ass. And Olenna Tyrell, like you said, she gets in the barb at the end that just pisses off Cersei to no end. And when Cersei is mad, she makes even worse decisions. So like we see her pissing off Cersei in a situation where it's like, oh yeah, we kind of lost that one. She threw Giles Rosby out, but like long term, that's a terrible decision for Cersei.
Yeah, that's kind of the tone. Olenna's like, well, she's going to make unforced heirs, Mace, then there's nothing we can do about that. No, is there? Because it is dumb. The whole point of allying with the Tyrells is to take advantage of their money and their food. You want them to be master of coin so that if anything comes up short, they're the one filling in the gaps. That's what Tywin got caught doing when he was Hand of the King. And you know, it's like, oh, well, things come up short. You know, you might be the one to fill in the gaps. So yeah, that was a perfect position to give to the Tyrells because Garth is not really somebody that can rise in power. His only children are bastards. He's not firstborn. He's not really a threat. He's a farter. He's not a threat. He's as much not a threat to be like rising in power as anybody is. But he's probably competent at his job. So he would have been a good master of coin, which is that would have helped Cersei. Like, yeah. So it's very self-defeating. Go ahead.
I think this is a good time to bring up something that we were talking about when we made the outline is kind of the sickly sweet vibe. So we keep getting this from the Tyrells, Olenna too, where she has kind of a sour smell, but it's covered in like rose perfume. We have Garth the Gross, who's a Tyrell, the flower sigil, but he's stinky. We're talking about Tywin here, who, they tried to drown his stink in a ton of perfume. It did not work very well. So we've got all these kind of sickly sweet smells, and it's usually associated with death. Oh, you're muted.
I was just agreeing. Go ahead.
But yeah, it's like once again we see Garth described as a Lord Seneschal, and so it kind of gets into this. What was the name of the ship? They called it the Stinky Steward and the
Celisori Corin, and it means stinky steward. Yeah,
but also, well, that's what they called it. But
perfumed Seneschal.
Right, and we see a lot of perfumed Seneschal. So like. And it's the code for Dany, looking at that. But Varys is a guy who wears a ton of perfume, but then we get him up close a couple times with Tyrion, especially when he's in disguise, and he stinks terribly. And so it's like we keep seeing these Seneschal figures be stinky, and it's kind of like this like death stink, but sickly sweet, right? That you get with certain wounds.
Yeah, it's he uses it that way. This like too much sweetness and greed and pleasure turns into corruption. He also uses it to be like the veneer of purity, like the Kingsguard, and underneath is the rot. So similar concepts. And it's a little bit like the Bear and the Maiden Fair thing, where we're talking about somebody that looks like a monster, but actually is got the heart of gold. This is kind of the opposite. Like Joffrey looked handsome and valiant and was a monster, right?
Yeah. And it's also kind of a Lord of the Rings thing. So all of these Seneschal characters, like another word that we use for Seneschal is steward. They call Garth the Gross the steward of Highgarden at different points. And the Tyrells themselves were stewards for the gardeners. And it's the thing of Faramir, Denethor, Boromir. Like they're the house that are stewards for the throne of Gondor.
Yep. Yeah, I think that is a big part of it. The Danes might be faithful stewards of Lightbringer, but we see a lot of the corrupt ones too. And that's definitely, Denethor is such a strong character. Like, how could you not be inspired by Denethor if you're doing Lord of the Rings stuff?
Right. He's a much more complicated character in the books than he is in the show, but there is a base, kind of a sad corruption there where he gets involved with Sauron, but he never gives in to Sauron. He never loses the Battle of Wills. He just kind of stops governing Gondor well, unfortunately. But yeah, it's very interestingly done. The base corruption, the stink beneath the sweetness, the perfumed Seneschal there. And of course he's putting, scented oils on top of his son and himself to burn them to death. So it's kind of the same thing.
The Denethor reveal is powerful, much in the way that like the Joffrey reveal is making an impression on the Tyrells. Finding out that the Queen of Thorns is such a player is like a dramatic reveal. Finding out that Denethor is as far gone as he is, it's just like, whoa, what's going on here? And it's kind of Tolkien, repeating the same thing as he did with the Riders of the Rohirrim, where Theoden is, he's got his mind enslaved by Grima Wormtongue. And then we see Denethor has fallen under the sway of Sauron through the Palantir. It's like two versions of the same corrupting idea.
And they're both named after Norse gods. We got Denethor and Theoden the Odin.
Oh. Gosh, I should break down Tolkien sometime or something.
Watch my
Maybe
videos.
We should do that. You do have some Tolkien on your Patreon. Yeah.
Yeah, I have two videos I have two videos on my YouTube about it with Beowulf and some kind of tangential Norse stuff, but I have some more direct stuff about the Norse gods on my Patreon with Lord of the Rings.
There you go. So check out Sean's channel and his Patreon if you want that goodness. And so let's go back to some of these plots here and see if we didn't which ones we might not have covered. We definitely got the purple wedding and the plot to marry Sansa to Willas, which comes out during that meeting. So we didn't cover this, but of course what happened is that with the Sansa plan, Sansa ruined it because she told Dantos, who told Baelish, who told Tywin, and then they married Sansa to Tyrion before the Tyrells could do anything about it. So they lost that one. But then, out of revenge, what does Olenna do?
She's talking mad shit. She talks to Mace and is like, "Yo, actually, Cersei's too old. Like, this marriage, there's no point to have this marriage. We won't get any heirs. She's too old. She's too used. So we're not gonna marry her to Willas, are we, Mace? Are we, Mace?" Mace is like, "Yeah, you're right."
Who proposed the Willas Cersei marriage? Tywin?
Tywin.
We think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Tywin and Mace were talking about it.
The scene in the show was so good with Charles Dance and Diana Rigg. Like, they're possibly the two best actors on that show. And that scene with the two of them was absolutely fantastic.
I vaguely recall the scene.
Yeah.
And so, basically, Tywin hears about this insult of calling Cersei too old and used. And he tells Tyrion about it, but then it's like, oh, we're not going to, don't tell Cersei. And we're going to pretend this offer was never made. So Olenna kills that because she doesn't want Cersei. But yeah, she doesn't want any part of that. And then we talked about Tyrion's escape. This is essentially Varys trying to frame Olenna for Tywin's murder and Tyrion's escape, is it not?
We think so.
And it goes with Tanya.
Yeah.
So explain how this works. Miki, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. So when they're investigating, I guess investigating would be a good word for this, and they're looking in the jail, I don't know if there's a word for it, they notice this gold coin that was left over. And this gold coin is apparently an ancient gold coin from Highgarden. And then Lady Merryweather's like, actually, you know who keeps these old gold coins from Highgarden? Lady Olenna. And also she does it because she likes to swindle people. Yeah, she's out here conning people with these gold coins too.
Because
so
they weigh a little bit less or
right.
something, right?
Yeah, they weigh less than a dragon. And that's how, and they say that's how Olenna pays people. Although when we were talking about this yesterday, Sean brought up a good point that I believe you said it, is this would be such a small petty thing for Olenna to do. So this is just Lady Merryweather talking shit. Like, I don't think Olenna would be out here conning people. She has bigger fish to fry. So it's just, some talk.
It's either that or she does keep these coins and use them sometimes. And basically Varys is using this against her.
All right.
So who does Tanya work for, I guess, is the question.
So we think Tana works for them, right? Because, I mean, first off, like, giving all this gossip that's not super useful to Cersei, it just feeds into her paranoia, which seems like a move that Olenna would make rather than, because Tana does not give her anything useful. Like, talking about, oh, yeah, she just, she's constantly, swindling people for very, very small amounts of money. And it's like, either that's true, and it's basically just a power move by Olenna, like, hey, I can swindle you and you're not going to do anything about it for very small amounts of money. Or it's not true because she has no need to do that because she's one of the wealthiest people in the realm and it's such a small difference. Either way, it doesn't help Cersei until she gets that little bit of information like, oh, there was a Gardener coin in the cell.
So I guess I'm trying to figure out the motivations. Like, Varys wants Cersei paranoid of the Tyrells because it makes Cersei, it leads to her misrule. I don't think the Tyrells would be trying to make Cersei think they did it when they didn't do it. So Tanya dropping this clue to her could actually be innocent in the sense that like Tanya's like this. Basically what I think happened is that Olenna does swindle people. I think George has written this in as a character building thing, just to show you that she's one of those people. She's wealthy, but she's still pinching pennies. She's the Queen of Thorns. It's just she's tight about it, okay? And so Varys is taking advantage of that by planting the High Garden gold in the cell, which is his own cell, but he's leaving it there to be found so that they'll think, that the Tyrells are doing this. So I think that makes sense if it's a habit that people know about, that people know Olenna does this. That way Varys is able to take advantage of it. If Olenna doesn't really do that, then I don't know that the rest of it makes sense. Like, why would Varys think that planting the gold implicates her? And then Taina's lying and saying, oh yeah, she uses those when she doesn't really. That doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
You follow me?
And it's also small and tenuous too. Like that is absolutely never going to be used as proof in a trial, is the point, right? Like, and we've seen a couple of trials up to this point now. So the only thing it serves to do is stoke Cersei's paranoia.
Correct. And then, okay, so those are all the plots that have happened. Sansa's escape.
Oh yeah, I added this mostly. I wanted to see what you guys were thinking about this.
Okay.
Because when I was thinking about, okay, Olenna's obviously in on killing Joff. Done deal. We know this. But what about the aftermath of that? Do you think she knows that Sansa and or Tyrion are escaping? I would feel like she would be in on Sansa escaping with a plan to use her later on. But I think Peter would just hijack that plan anyway, right? Because I think once Sansa's out of reach, she's out of reach. Or maybe she doesn't think that far ahead. I don't know.
I think Peter got Sansa as part of the deal.
You think so?
I agree.
Yes.
I agree. He has a creepy attraction to her, both as a surrogate daughter and as a romantic partner. And it's, again, super creepy, but he is going to have to...
She's just a valuable piece. Everyone wants to marry her for the same reason. Go ahead.
Well, and he's going to have to make her a part of the deal, not just because, obviously, marrying her basically gives you Winterfell, as far as people know at this point. But another big piece is she has been privy to a certain amount of plotting that has happened. Whether she fully realizes what's going on or not, that could be risky and dangerous. So him taking Sansa off to the Vale is essentially, for them, it's taking a dangerous piece off of the board.
It's silencing a witness. That's a good observation, Sean.
That is good. I didn't think about that. Because she is a liability. Because she doesn't know what she knows.
And it's a big bargaining piece. Like, they were going to try to marry Sansa to Willas, and they could still try to get that going, but instead she signs her off to Baelish, meaning that Baelish is going to be the one to try to claim the North. So that's a pretty big negotiation chip that Olenna gave away to Peter there in order to get, what did she get out of it? The replacing of Joffrey with Tommen, and the framing of Tyrion for the crime. So taking the clever Lannister out of King's Landing. Because from Tyrell's point of view, if you're looking at the Lannisters, you're afraid of the competent ones. Tyrion is more competent than Cersei. So,
well, and two other big things here are that Peter and Tyrion were both on the Small Council, and they're now going to be replaced by Tyrell people.
Oh, true. True.
That is true.
That's pretty good stuff. Yeah, so you can see how the deal works right there, can't you? So then, yeah, Tyrion's escape, that's a Varys thing. That's not a Peter Olenna thing. Yeah, that's different.
Right. But he didn't, he's always covering his tracks so that the people don't kill him. He's very insistent during Tyrion chapters, like, no, if Cersei asks me what's going on, I'm going to tell her exactly what's going on, because if I don't and she finds out, she will murder me. So it's like, him leaving one of those Gardner coins in the cell, that's a way to cover his own ass. And he probably does it before he ends up, seeing Tyrion murder Tywin, which puts too much heat on the situation. and now Varys has to go.
True.
I wonder how. Yeah, Varys just goes underground for a while and then resurfaces. Kind of. He probably went back to Illyrio's manse for a bit or something. But he could just be hanging out in King's Landing in disguise too. Like that's literally easy for Varys.
Yeah. What are his like wig bills? Like this guy has like cloaks and wigs, and he has like shoulder pads and stuff to change his shape.
Oh, that Rugen's like decrepit cell is not Varys' real cell. He has a hidden room somewhere. He's got a nice one back inside the walls, you know.
He has the other one that he made Tyrion's shag pad for a while.
Oh, maybe Varys is like living his best gay life in his secret little room, you know, like it's all nice with like lilacs and like silk and everything.
Oh yeah.
No. Maybe. Because like the black cells don't really, you know, I mean, Varys, he's always clean and smells good, you know, it's he's got to have a nice room somewhere.
And I keep swimming.
Anyway. All right, so let's see, making the most of Tommen and Marjorie. Yeah, you just kind of hit on that. This deal cleared out a bunch of spaces on the small council for them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we talked about
the first night. And then, so this is the thing that I was bringing up yesterday, is she would need to get with child for the situation that Tom were to pass. Right? Like, because Olenna's left, so and she cares about Marjorie, so she needs Marjorie to be taken care of. But what about that contingency, right? Like if he dies, does Olenna have a plan for that? And is it just for her to get pregnant and like that to secure her?
I think Tommen is the ideal patsy, you know. So they're not thinking that they might have to get rid of Tommen. They're probably just trying.
Pliable. Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying they're probably trying to help Marjorie basically get Tommen more loyal to her than Cersei. That's the plan for now.
Well, and with Cersei off the table, like he's playing with Marjorie all the time and her cousins, and they're having a great little time. They put a bunch of papers in front of him, and he goes, "Oh, stamp, I'm having a great time. Hey, have you guys seen my cat?" Like he's having a great time and essentially being completely controlled by the Tyrells up to this point. And that's only going to get worse because we just saw 2 more Lannister pieces leave the board, with Kevin Lannister being murdered by Varys and Pycelle. So Those people are going. So first thing that's going to happen, you know, when we're in Winds of Winter, they're going to have to name a regent, and odds are it's going to be Mace Tyrell.
Oh, I mean, if there's anything that I could do to help.
In these dark times, of course.
Yeah, but he's going to want to name a hand separately, not because, you know, he wants to surrender any power to a hand, but because that would just add another person that would be in the Tyrell camp. So he would take Kevin's place as regent. He would have somebody he trusts, like Garth or somebody, take his place as hand. And then they would have to fill the Grand Maester spot, which, we'll remember, we were already angling for replacing them with a Tyrell relative from the Citadel when Pycelle was under, you know, when he was in the Black Cells. Tywin put an end to that by bringing Pycelle back. Pycelle's dead now. They're 100% going to bring back that Tyrell from the Maester Citadel. And that's 2 more pieces on the board that are all Tyrell. So they've completely consolidated power over the realm at this point.
They're like a rose bush just growing around and sprouting roses everywhere. So
yeah, there's a line. A thorn bush conquered the yard at the night fort.
Oh, I thought you were going to say there's a line. Every rose has its thorn.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
So the last thing we want to talk about today before we get out of here is how the Tyrells are going to handle Faegon. There's a lot of tentacles to this. We got into it yesterday, and it was a pretty interesting discussion. So I need to run to the restroom. How are you guys doing? Can you keep it going without me, or do we need to take a music break
as well?
Okay, we'll do a music break, and we'll
be right
back.
Break.
Yes. And here we go. And I'm back. No, not solo me. Solo me, not him. Ah, I was gonna. Never mind. There I am. Hey, just trying to give my guests a little privacy, that's all. And I will just remind you that if you want a cool Garth the Green t-shirt, praise Garth, you can get one of those on our Bonfire web store at the link in the description below the video. I've also got a different Green Man shirt. I got a Green Seer shirt. I've got the Reading Rhaegar shirt that this man is wearing. Show him your shirt, Sean.
Oh, yep. Reading Rhaegar. And yeah, sorry, just for a moment here. Sonny, come here. This is Summer. Hi, sweetie. She gets really sad when I close the door, but she's very loud, so I have to.
Well, she's got the golden hue of summer.
She does. Oh, sorry. Oh. Yeah, sorry. I was gonna close the door, but Rick barged his way in, and he's 130 pounds, so it's hard to keep him out.
And we're back. There we go. I'm getting good. I'll figure this out. This control room stuff. Up, Thunder, up.
He's too big.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah, he's a big fella. He's 130 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
The little one is 75. But yeah, they get a little upset when I close the door. So they, as soon as I went to the bathroom, they, ran down the hall, knocked down some desks, and that's what they do.
Banking off the walls. Oh, he's free. Yeah, the birds. That's why I had to get that 3-level townhouse, because they're on the bottom floor. I'm on the top floor. They can't hear me. Because animals get FOMO. There's nothing they hate more than missing out on the party. But, all right. So, while Sean Corral, there you go. So, yeah, friends in the Reach. John Connington has friends in the Reach. We think that is probably Randall Tarley, maybe a couple other people. Randall Tarley is one of the biggest warlords that is sworn in service to Mace Tyrell. Mace Tyrell loves nothing better than taking credit for Randall Tarley's victories. This is well established. And Randall probably doesn't appreciate that. So the same oafishness that Olenna, they caused Olenna to lose respect for Mace, has also caused Randall Tarley to lose respect for Mace, potentially. And so this is all going to go down at Storm's End. Randall Tarley is there with other Reach forces fighting at Storm's End, correct? Has Mace gone there now too?
I think he's doing kind of a similar thing as last time, where he's, camping out at a feast table.
Right. So if there is a betrayal, it is going to happen at Storm's End. So the question is, well, okay, hold on. Let's figure this out. Is Mace in King's Landing, or has he gone to Storm's End?
No, he's in King's Landing. A few things are happening. One, his sons, aside from Willas, have gone to war in different places. So Loras has gone to Dragonstone, as we talked about. He may or may not be terribly injured with oil all over his face. Then there is Garland Tyrell, who was trying to deal with the fact that the Ironborn are reaving up and down the coast of the Reach. And so he was trying to get some ships and fighting men together in the Reach to try to
And we met him
combat
in the
that.
Sam chapter.
Yes,
Or
he
no,
was also
we met Baylor Hightower.
Yes.
No, they spoke. I'm sorry. They talked about. He met a Hightower ship captain who talked about all this stuff. Sorry, go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, so Baylor runs the port or whatever. They didn't actually talk to him, but he kind of looms large there. He's running things for Leighton, who won't leave his tower. But
Right.
yeah, they have so Willas and Loras are both off at war, or sorry, Garland and Loras are both off at war. Garland, who was in the Purple Wedding chapter, and I think Mace, as far as we know, is still in King's Landing. I think there was some talk about with Cersei about we're not going to do something until the red wine ships arrive or something like that, and basically kind of holding Mace Tyrell hostage.
Yeah, it was this red wine ships, and then it was also like he wants to see Marjorie cleared also before he leaves.
Right.
So he is still in King's Landing. Yeah. Was Kevin even talking to him in his last chapter before he got murdered?
I know Kevin talked with Cersei at dinner. Like she came and she was pretending to be all demure.
So I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, so Randall Tarley turning cloak at Storm's End, Mace isn't going to be there. They're going to hear about this from King's Landing, assuming that this happens. So they're going to hear that Faegon is triumphant, that he has absorbed Tarley's forces and probably the other forces that the Reach sent out there that didn't get destroyed. And they are now marching on King's Landing. So the question becomes, do the Tyrells try to stay on the Lannister horse, which is just Tommen and Cersei at this point? That's it. And the Lannister troops or whatever. Or do they try to follow Tarley's lead and flip over to Faegon? That's kind of the first question, right?
Can he get anything done without Tarley?
Not militarily. So, Miki, what do you think?
Whatever Olenna wants. And I think, if Olenna were there, she would tell him, yeah, we're switching sides. So I think the hope is that Mace does switch sides, at least in Olenna's point of view. But she really can't do much for him because I feel like Mace is going to go whichever way is easier for him because he would have all the power, right? So,
right.
And you feel like that in that scene we just read, Mace was pretty insulted. He was like, this, he was going to say, this is an insult. This is an outrage.
Yeah.
Like he was all happy, like, oh, I'm important. You guys have to play ball with me. He's like, what? You're not playing ball, but you're supposed to, And so like I can see him being like, screw those Lannisters. They don't play fairly, blah, blah, blah,
Well, they've also essentially lost all power. Like, who is running House Lannister at this point? Cersei is under house arrest.
Kevin's dead. Pycelle's dead.
The next heir to House Lannister is Lancel Lannister, and he can barely walk. And he
Jaime's
also
missing in the Riverlands.
Right. So Lannister is on the downswing. They have essentially lost all their power. So it would seem a lot like Mace Tyrell to, not for the first time, switch horses. And it would also just add a very hilarious layer of Randall Tarley is finally sick of Mace Tyrell, not giving him his due, taking credit for his victories. And he switches over to Faegon. And then 2 days later, Mace Tyrell is like, oh, I'm over here too.
And I just realized the Frey Lannisters that hold Riverrun are going to lose that.
Yeah.
As well.
Well, for one, like they lost their main heir, Cleos. So Jenna Lannister and her husband, they I think they have other kids, but they're yeah,
They're
afraid they're
falling
about to have
everywhere.
rough.
Is the point? They really are losing their power.
Yeah.
Woo. Praise Garth. Garth was powerful and stinky. Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
even think about that. Dude, is George Martin in on this joke? Garth Green Hands and all. I mean, like, we took it and ran with it, obviously, but we didn't run very far. Like, he was already running with a spliff in his hand, right?
Yes, and even beyond that, there's this whole sickly sweet thing that we've been talking about with all of these, green men figures, these Tyrells who inherited Highgarden from Garth Gardner, who had the green hand as a sigil. It's a play on words for gangrene, which is sickly sweet smelling.
Oh. Gangrene. How do you get gangrene?
It's an infected wound.
That's kind of like the trees having an infected wound, basically.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
that's-
what can cut you?
What'd you say, Mickey?
Thorns. I said, and what can cut you? Thorns.
Every
And
rose
Dorn
has.
means thorn.
Yeah, and her eyes were thorns in that scene too, which was interesting. Queen of Thorns. So she's like, shooting him and projecting him out.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that their big rivals are the Martells because Dorn means thorn in German, and whenever we see like a particularly martial Tyrell, they put thorn in their title, like Leo Longthorn. When we have Queen or Lady Olenna, they call her the Queen of Thorns. Like so, and not only that, but we have John the Blue Rose guy. He appears as a blue rose in Dany's dream. He's born at the Tower of Joy in Dorne. So it's kind of funny. The rivals to this Rose house with the thorns, they're all also doing thorn stuff.
Yeah, I know you can cook on the War of the Roses bit.
Yeah.
Okay. There was. So the vision of bring this back to Faegon for a second. The vision of Faegon that Dany has, he's being cheered by the crowds in King's Landing. So that kind of gives us the idea, by the time Faegon gets there, most of the people in King's Landing will be ready for a change in leadership. So this sounds like Cersei's spiraling out, and it sounds like the Tyrells are not going to be able to manage King's Landing well, despite Cersei. Because if they did, then how would Faegon end up being greeted by the cheering crowds? So I think that this foreshadows that Cersei's reign of chaos will continue to be enabled by Varys. So at what point does Varys start taking out Tyrells? Or does Mace make a misstep? Like, how is it that King's Landing keeps deteriorating by the time Faegon gets there?
Well, so the first thing we have to kind of bring people up to speed here, and we probably should mention, spoilers for the sample chapters here. But
That's a joke, Sean. That's a fucking joke. 14 years, man. Go ahead.
Faegon has taken Storm's End, and he did so, essentially without a military win. Like it was done somehow by trickery.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is something similar is probably going to happen in order for them to get into King's Landing. Because if he, busts his way in and he's an outside invader and he takes the city through, huge military trauma, they're not going to be cheering him on. So he's going to come, they're going to open the gates to him. And so that means that the Tyrells have either allied with him or they have completely destabilized the Tyrells.
That's a good point. I was focusing on the destabilization, but you're right. If the Tyrells are basically ushering in this change of power, then yeah, that could make sense. Maybe because how does Cersei's trial go?
Well, so that's kind of the part of it is, do we think it's going to happen? Because like one thing that we've seen is, repeatedly is Cersei's only real strength is she's playing the Game of Thrones, and these people are either making complicated moves or they're just trying to do the right thing, and she just flips the board over. So, I think it'll happen somewhat similarly to how it happened in the show. I think we are going to blow up the Sept of Baelor. I just think it's going to be at Faegon's coronation / marriage to, I mean, I want to say either Marjorie or Arianne. I'm not sure at all.
Well, that is the other part. Okay, so we'll put the Cersei terrorism watch on hold. Let's talk about the Marjorie gets married again to somebody who's not 8 watch. So the first possibility is that Faegon is eligible. Either he hasn't sewn up the engagement with Arianne, or Arianne gets put aside or something. Or maybe Lyanna, the younger girl, is caught with Faegon, and that screws up the Arianne betrothal or something like that. If Faegon is eligible, a marriage to Marjorie makes sense for all the same reasons it made sense for Joffrey and Tommen and the Lannisters, because the Reach is powerful and rich, and they haven't been ravaged by war when the Riverlands and other places have, and the North is barren. So, yeah, what about that, Miki? Marjorie and Faegon. Is it possible?
I think anything's possible with Marjorie. Marjorie will make it happen. I think Marjorie's down to play ball. I think Mace would be eager to make that happen. I mean, he's been eager for her to be queen nonstop since she was out of the womb, I guess. I don't know. It's like his thing. So she would get a lot of support for it. Olenna wouldn't like that, as we mentioned, or we spoke about it yesterday, that she's really not about this whole thing. She doesn't care if Marjorie's the queen so much as Marjorie's safe and not married to a monster. So I don't know if Olenna would be down, Mace would be down.
It might be their only choice. Like, either they're going to be part of the Lannister guild, or they're going to have to help throw the Lannisters under the bus and have something to offer.
That's true. And I think it would be a good concession for them to be like, hey, easy, quick alliance. Here's Marjorie. Here's your queen. People already like Marjorie. Marjorie is well liked by the people of King's Landing.
Now,
I don't know how the rest of the realm feels about her, but King's Landing likes her.
No, they did. They've been feeding people. That's that's pretty good street cred. And she's, looks the part on top of that. So I would, as an aside, the chat is debating, like, I would love to know how ambitious Marjorie herself is. We don't know. Is this her dad's ambition or her own?
Can we talk about how just Olenna's 2 favorite people are named Butterbumps and Marjorie, like butter
Margarine.
and margarine? All right, I had to bring that up at some point. I know I'm awful with the goddamn
What
puns.
is George doing here?
She's Paula Deen. He loves that butter.
A little bit of butter, a little bit. Somebody's mentioned Davin Lannister, Warden of the West. He still exists. I don't know where he is, though.
Yeah.
If somebody can look that up.
He's around.
What?
He's around, but consolidating Lannister power is still going to be very difficult.
Well, and Tyrion has promised all the gold.
What?
I was saying Tyrion's...
Lannisters, really.
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
Go on.
Go ahead, Miki.
That's it. That's all I had to say.
I was just saying that Tyrion has promised all the Casterly Rock gold to the second sons.
It's okay. Something bad will happen to them. So one thing that I want to kind of talk about is as far as like Marjorie maybe not marrying Faegon, and it's not because I don't.
No,
think
that's what I was
happen.
going to say next. There's other people she could potentially marry.
Right. I just want to kind of play devil's advocate for this, because the way we look at this is Faegon is doing a lot of Rhaegar impersonating. One thing that you've talked about in multiple videos is him bringing on Gerald Darkstar as sort of the evening as kind of an imitation of Arthur Dayne. Mm-hmm. Another thing is him marrying a Martell, Arianne Martell, is a lot like Rhaegar marrying Elia Martell. Having that marriage get screwed up by somebody named Lyanna would also make a whole lot of sense. Having that marriage happen anyway, because he was still married to, Elia Martell. So if he marries a Martell in the capital, the fact is Rhaegar somehow is still very popular in the capital, despite, the fact that his house is dead, despite the fact that his father was deeply unpopular. Rhaegar is still well-liked across the realm, despite all that. So she, Arianne Martell and Faegon in the Sept could be getting those cheers in the same way that we're seeing in Dany's dream.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty good, I mean, that parallel would make a lot of sense. And then the other parallel, we'll come back to the wedding thing, but I think Miki put this in. The Tyrells essentially surrendered to Aegon the Conqueror after the Gardeners were defeated. And here, after the Gardeners and Lannisters were defeated on the Field of Fire. And so here, we could have a Lannister being defeated by another Aegon Conqueror. And again, the Tyrells could swear fealty to them.
Yeah. History repeats itself. And I feel, even if they,
that was a good one. I was impressed. I saw that in the notes this morning, and I was like, ooh, look at that.
Oh, thank you.
Go ahead. Sorry, explain the rest of it.
Oh, I was going to say that as if they were to go ahead and make this really pretty platter, right? A sweet smelling offer, it would still be packed with something for themselves, right? So even if Marjorie wouldn't be the queen, she could go off, and I think Sean was the one who mentioned the other bachelors that Marjorie could possibly marry into, is that they would still sneak in something for themselves, even though they're like, oh yeah, here's the realm. We're on your side. We kept it running just for you. Like, fuck the Lannisters. There would still be there for themselves. And that could be another alliance through Marjorie.
Right. And Olenna does not like the Targaryens.
No, she hates them.
Does she hate them, or does she just sort of kind of roll her eyes at them?
She talked a lot about, like, oh, they're crazy, blah, blah, blah. Must have been their blood.
You're right.
So
she did.
Like,
yeah.
So, like, whatever. They're going to get the realm, but maybe
she also doesn't like the Martells.
Marjorie marrying into that.
Yeah.
Yes. And so the other two names that we cooked up were Tristan Martell, who may be the heir to Dorne, depending on what happens to Arianne. And if not, he's still a powerful, like, if Arianne is queen in Westeros, then effectively Tristan is going to be the next Lord of Sunspear. Right. Now, even more than Queen of Thorns hates Targaryens, she seems to hate the Dornish. So her and Visenya, old ladies that hate the Dornish. So was the handshake.
I wonder how much of that is true. Like, she did disparage them. And she called Ilaria Sand the serpent's W word. So we would think so. But at the same time, Willas does not hold a grudge. And that seems to be the main reason that she doesn't like the Martells, because Oberyn crippled Willas. Mm-hmm. But Willas basically recognizes that it was his father forcing him to get on a horse way too early against way too experienced and good knights.
Good point.
And Oberyn felt bad about it, and they've become pen pals. Like, they're friends, yes. Oberyn and Willas. So how much she actually, holds resentment there. And if Mace is dead at some point, blows up in the Scepter, whatever, that makes Willas the Lord of Highgarden, and he would have a lot more say over who Marjorie marries than Olenna.
That's a very good point. So that's maybe how a Martell Highgarden marriage could happen. One of the themes in the story is reconciliation. We mostly focus on the others and the Weirwoods and the Wildlings and the Westerosi. But we could see George sew up other little things like Bracken and Blackwood, by the end of the story, to show you that there is a sewing up that's happening. So yeah, maybe that's what that little thing about Garland and being friends with Oberyn, maybe that will bear fruit. That's interesting.
Well, it's also kind of a hint towards the end, because if you look at it, Willas is, we talked about it earlier, Willas is kind of a parallel to Bran.
Right.
So Willas making nice with Oberyn, who crippled him, is a lot like Bran making nice with Jaime, who crippled him. And they're going to probably do that before they start, fighting for the same team against Team Other.
Sure. Yeah. They almost did something powerful on the show with that. Kind of, sort of. Like, you could tell, like, oh, there's something here with the conversation between these two. Much in the way that Theon is coming around in front of the Weirwood tree and sort of coming to a place of beginning to want to atone, So, yeah. Then the other name is Edric Storm. And you might even throw out Edric Dane, too.
Yeah.
If he survives the Dark Star stealing of Dawn, Edric could die in that event, because we don't know if Edric is back in Starfall or on his way, but it seems like he is back on his way there. He's not with the other Brotherhood group with Stoneheart.
It's been a while
Yes.
Beric died, and he left when Beric died, as far as we know. So
it makes the most sense that he would end up back in Starfall. He may die if and when Darkstar steals Dawn, but if he doesn't, he would be eligible. Edric Storm could end up being the Lord of Storm's End very easily, because everyone else is dead.
And he's a connection to the only...
he's a noble bastard. He's got a Florent mother.
Right. And there are no Baratheons left. And the only Baratheon whose name has not been absolutely blackened during the War of the Five Kings is Robert. So, Robert's bastard over.
Yeah.
Renly rebelled against the throne. Stannis rebelled against the throne. Like, these people are hated. Renly is well liked, but that's only basically because they don't really know what happened, and he was well liked before that. But in terms of the nobility who would have direct say in who becomes the king, they were pretty upset at Renly. Him inheriting Storm's End after all this is a very real possibility. In fact, there aren't a lot of other possibilities because Robert only has a certain number of bastards that Cersei didn't kill. One of them is Maya Stone, who's not only a woman, but lives in the Vale. It's just very limited.
Gendry's rough around the edges. No, Edric Storm is the one. He's the one. And he's in lists, being kept safe. And we even figured out that Faegon's spy master is Lysono Mar, who is Lysenes from Lys. So it may be that Faegon already has Edric Storm in tow, ready to plant him as the Lord of Storm's End after they conquer Storm's End, which they just did. So
right.
Edric Storm's return to the story could be pretty dramatic, and all of a sudden he's Faegon's Lord of Storm's End. Very possible that this could happen. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. And if he's a Lord of Storm's End, Faegon's right-hand man, then yes, Marjorie absolutely could marry him. Miki, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he would be a good... Excuse you. I have puppies bumping me. I think he'd be a good prospect. I would prefer Marjorie to marry someone other than Faegon, mostly because I don't like Faegon. That's just me.
Pick up my pieces, dwarf. Not a good sign. Go ahead.
Yeah, not a good sign. And I like Marjorie, although Sean and I mentioned yesterday, I don't know how long Marjorie's going to be alive for. So whatever makes the most impact, I suppose.
Yeah, smoke them well, you got them.
Yes.
So kind of an understated aspect to this, the idea of Aegon giving Storm's End to Edric Storm is a perfect imitation of Aegon's conquest. He gives a bastard Baratheon, his brother, Storm's End as he conquers the Seven Kingdoms. So we get Faegon going in, taking King's Landing, and giving Edric Storm Storm's End.
Oh man, I need to make a video about this before somebody else does.
Well, I'm not gonna go for it.
Yeah, no, this is good. This is a good Winds of Winter prediction. Edric Storm. He's already on, because we haven't seen Faegon since over in Essos. We haven't seen him yet in Westeros, so we don't know if they've got Edric Storm with him or not. Like, they could have picked him up on the way. That could be something Connington has in his pocket by way of Illyrio and Varys. Because remember, Varys probably secreted away Tyrek Lannister so that they can install him as a loyal Lannister lord. That's the theory anyway. That's been around for a long time. He disappeared in the riot, remember. Go ahead, Sean.
A loyal Lannister horse.
He was last seen a horse, yes.
Yeah, he's a horse skin changer. I thought that was canon.
No, that's yeah, no, shout out to those guys. He'd be a lion skin changer, not a horse skin changer. But the point is, he may be secreted away by Varys for just this reason. And so this may be a thing that he's doing, collecting as many alternate lords as possible to install. All right, so that's pretty much most of it. I mean, what other lines of speculation do we have about Faegon arriving in King's Landing and what the Tyrells are going to do? Because Dany's going to get there soon after. Faegon's not going to rule for long. So do the Tyrells keep trying to switch horses? Sooner or later, that game of musical chairs, or horses, or whatever, they're going to come up short. So is it going to be?
I feel like
Go
the
ahead.
Tyrells would jump ship immediately because I don't know how much stock I don't know what they know in terms of like Dany and stuff. I don't know if they know what's happening east side, but I feel like for their own, and I'm speaking as Mace. I feel like Mace would be like, how do we survive? I'm jumping ship like right away. I don't know if he would think about Dany. I don't know if he would think that far ahead.
No.
And then I think Dany would come and be like, what's worse than having an enemy is having someone who like betrayed some, you know what I mean? It's like you flip-flopping over here. Like you're just going to flop on me too.
Yeah.
So.
It's also just like, I think the Olenna line where my husband rode off a cliff looking up at the sky, riding his horse, and now my son is doing the same. Eventually that has to happen for Mace. Mace is not going to survive the story. Good things are not going to happen to him. He's an idiot with very little foresight. He just grasps at power, and it has worked out well enough for him because he has a lot of money, power, a big army, and Cersei is somehow dumber. So, like,
yeah,
at a certain point,
that's what
dumb luck stops winning.
That's true. That's a good point. And I think that's what I was getting at when I meant like Olenna's just going to be like, you know what, Mace, like you're going to be sacrificed even if it's of your own doing and you don't know it. Like he's going to get himself killed, I think.
Willas has got this.
Yeah. Olenna hands off at this point.
We just heard the Reach is in good hands right already. So I just want to emphasize how messy Faegon's court in King's Landing is going to be. He's going to roll up there with Arianne. Then Darkstar is going to show up. Darkstar and Arianne have done it. So that's going to be, and Darkstar is a giant troll. So he's a little older than Faegon. Like that's messy. We're going to have sand snakes there. One of them on the small council. And then Marjorie's sitting around going, I've been betrothed to all the dead kings. Who's next? Like that is just really messy.
It's worse than that too, because Arianne is traveling with Daemon Sand, another one of her former lovers, Oberyn's former squire, and so she's basically just going to bring the whole train of Eskimo bros here, and Aegon will. Aegon's entire Kingsguard is going to be made up of people who have had sex with Arianne, except for Duncan the Tall Imitator, Raleigh Duck.
Yeah, Duck doesn't know anything about that. Yeah.
Yet.
And Arianne's already had a Kingsguard, so she knows what that's about.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's going to be like, I really do look forward to Winds of Winter when it comes out, because I mean, not just for the big fights and the things that we're looking for, but like this King's Landing thing is going to be crazy. And Cersei's lurking around in the background. She'll either have lost and slunk back to Casterly Rock, but she's left wildfire plans to blow up. Varys is still sowing mischief. Like, it's going to be such a mess. I can't wait to see this. That's all I have to say. Yeah, it's like, because the King's Landing chapters are some of the best ones. It doesn't even matter who it is. Like, the King's Landing politics is always good. It's even good in House of the Dragon. It's where shit is happening. All the different lords from different houses in the same place. These different hills. The whole city's got all this dynamic to it. There's wildfire jars crammed in every closet and hidey hole, ready to blow up. And we're just going to have a whole new batch of King's Landing drama. And I'm just really looking forward to it. So it was fun to get back into that with this Tyrell Faegon thing.
King's Landing, el telenovela.
What was that? King's
Landing, el telenovela.
It is. It is. All the days of our lives, all my dragon children. Something. Yes, the stream is ending. It's that time. It's about 3.5 hours. My guests give me a lot of their time. I do appreciate it. So thank you, Miki and Sean. And all of our pets are anxious for our return. So, like I said, watch out for Wonders of Westeros this week. Big video. Return of Rhaegar. Lots of weird places. I'm going to rank them too. So you'll have something to argue about.
All right.
Yeah. Not 5, not 10, 14, plus 3 honorable mention. It's a weird place, Westeros.
Which is the same number of castles on the wall.
Sean, you're a madman. I'm going to have to cut your mic. So
Numerology.
So basically, my 3 runners-up are Hardhome, Skagos, and the Oaken Seat. And everything else is weirder than that. So.
Let's get weird.
Thank you, mods. And let me just double check. I think I got all the super chats, but let me just make sure. Thank you, River Mist. How come Qyburn wasn't on Varys' radar? I mean, he might be. But Qyburn would be a hard one to take out. That's an interesting spy versus spy question. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Yeah, Qyburn is Cersei's only... Qyburn, yeah, all her power is from Qyburn right now.
He will be the one controlling the wildfire. He's the one who deals directly with the alchemists. He also made Frankengregor. So, yeah, it's proxy power.
Finished dance. I wanted to ask, what are honors? What do you mean?
Like honors placed upon a person, like titles and lands, and I mean...
I think we accept all currencies.
Steerpike Sisters' Squisher message was promoting my Patreon. Appreciate it.
Oh, so here's the super chat, Sean, from that came in before the stream that you were talking about.
All right.
Okay, this is really interesting. I have to watch this video. So he says, DM Collins, thank you. He thinks that I should politely, point by point, respond to Religion for Breakfast video. I know that channel. Why fictional religions feel so fake. Where he brings up George but misses everything. Oh, wow. Yeah.
That's your wheelhouse, sure.
That might give me some feelings. I had to take a look at that.
Yeah, you think George was maybe just having fun with religion?
No, I think he's whipped up some pretty dark stuff. But obviously, as we all know, he is taken it from real religions. That's so, like, it's the idea that George based Lorism on Zoroastrianism is well documented. Like, he's talked about that.
He talks about Catharism as being an influence too. Like he's not only thorough, he's specific.
Well, that is disappointing to hear. I'll have to watch Religion for Breakfast's video. I've definitely watched their videos before. I'm familiar with them, but I started watching and got annoyed and couldn't finish it. Ooh. Yikes. All right, I'll give that a serious consideration, and thank you for the super chat. That's a good one. I mean, that's just the sort of thing I like to talk about. Right on. All right, well, closing thoughts on Olenna Tyrell, Miki, and then Sean, and then we'll get out of here.
Olenna. Hot then, hot now. Hot bod, hotter words. Legend, absolute GOAT. I think she stirred a lot of pots, and we're going to see, what happens, I suppose. I really liked her. I like her in the show as well. I think the actress did a fantastic job. I think George did a great job creating her. And I think from Olenna, we're going to get a new realm, literally a new realm in politics. Hopefully we get that in Winds of Winter. So thank you, Olenna.
It occurred to me as we were looking at that Cersei Olenna jousting scene there, like Olenna is kind of what Cersei wants to be, in the sense of like, without being a monarch, she's about as powerful as you can be as far as running the house, her reputation and respect. And Cersei, instead of studying, she's just mad and jealous and wants to kill her. But she doesn't have she doesn't have the qualities that Olenna does, that has given Olenna her power, which is first of all the ability to like do politics and not just seethe with anger, but also the patience is the main thing that Cersei doesn't have. So
yeah, I think Cersei demands respect without giving a little respect, and like she doesn't play a dance, she just wants to stop the song, you know.
That's well
She
said.
won't be
Yeah,
your
that's
partner,
it.
she'll be-
So there's a big contrast to me, because Westeros is tough for women, and you have to get power how you can. Olenna has managed to get a lot of power. Cersei wants power, and she gets her hands on it, but she always fumbles it. So
It's
Sorry,
true. And
Sean.
Olenna isn't bound by her physicality, like her looks anymore. So she gets a lot of shit done that Cersei can't. Or
yeah,
won't.
Cersei needs to metamorphosize. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and to give both of you credit for kind of interlocking points here, one thing you brought up, Miki, when we were making the outline, is that Olenna is derivative of Helen. So Helen, the face that launched 1,000 ships, the probably wrongly credited with starting the Trojan War when it was really a bunch of vain guys and gods. But she's kind of also Aphrodite's avatar on Earth. And Aphrodite is, of course, Venus, our morning star, our even star. And Cersei is doing a lot of the same things. So one of the reasons why Cersei does not like the Queen of Thorns here is because they are very overlapping archetypes. And she's, it's worked out a lot better for Olenna.
Yeah. I was just distracted by something in the chat. Yeah, just you can't speak to my mods like that. If they tell you to watch it, then that means you watch it. Talk back to the mods when they give you a warning. That's like, I don't even need to know what the rest of the argument is. That's just not. Sorry, Sean, I missed what you were saying, to be honest. But I just have to get people's back, so.
No, you're good. I was bringing up, she referenced Olenna being derivative of Helen, and then kind of your work towards Helen, both as, her role in the Trojan War and her role as like kind of Aphrodite for humans, and how that makes Cersei and Olenna very similar archetypes, which is, part of the reason why Cersei harbors such resentment toward her. We have, Cersei, who's like the Queen Regent and the Dowager Queen, versus the Queen of Thorns. Neither of them are real queens, but they're trying to consolidate power behind the scenes, and one of them is doing it right.
Yeah, and this is the problem with not having any respect for anyone. She couldn't learn from Tywin. Even though we have lots of bad things to say about Tywin, he's obviously survived a long time in this world and accrued a lot of power, okay? But she doesn't have any respect, so she can't learn the lesson. She doesn't have any respect for Queen of Thorns. So all the stuff that she needs to learn is right there in front of her, but she can't learn it because of that ego tripping and all the other emotional stuff that gets in the way of her just like having respect for people who have been there longer and have power. Like if you want to play the game, you do have to give respect to the people that have been there before. You just come in hating on everybody, nobody's going to open any doors for you, So yeah, how to win friends and influence people, or how not to do that. So, all right, well, that's probably a decent place to stop. I think we have talked out the talk here. Thanks to my guests, thanks to my mods, thanks to all the wonderful people in the chat. And yeah, I'll see you this week with a new video. Oops, no, that's, my mouse is on the wrong screen. Sorry, prolonged, protracted goodbye. See you guys.
Oh God, we said goodbye. Now we're walking down the same hallway.